Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Loton Park. This is our last competition day of the season and the final two rounds of this year's British Hill Climb Championship, Leaders Championship and Midland Championship. We'll be on air once the action starts at 9 o'clock. But first, we'll do some of these usual little tricks that we pull off, which are to do with programme changes, of which there are, as ever in motorsport, more than a few. Now, I'll be joined in just a couple of minutes' time by our colleague Jerry Sturman, who will fully understand how today progresses, where we are with the run-off qualifying positions, and at the top of the hill. And I hope he can hear us after yesterday. And the problem with the fallback speaker is our other very, very good friend and regular here at Loton Park. That is Steve Wilkinson.
Hello, Eddie. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear us?
Right. Well, we still have a problem with the sound up here.
Yeah.
The speaker closest to the commentary box doesn't appear to be working.
Oh, great.
That's the one across the track.
That's the one you were going to turn towards us.
I've just got a visitor, so I'm going to sign off.
Okay. Right, I'll continue with the changes to the programme. So we have some non-starters and some changes of cars. I'll refer you to the pages, relevant pages in the programme. I do hope you have a programme. They are available at the gate on the way in, so most people will have bought one on the way in if they're going to use one. So first to tell you that car number 15, which is on page 7 of your programme, Robert Lawrence, a non-starter. Moving on, car number 35, and that is over the page on page 8, Class A2, David Dyson, a non-starter. Further on, turning over another couple of pages, let us go to page 11, number 64, Peter Turnbull, a non-starter. Also in then let's continue where we were. So car number 65, also in Class C3, on page 11, Carl Stevens. It's a change of car. It's not the Golf GTI. He changes to his Ford Escort Mark II 2-litre. And then another little bit further on to a few more pages. Let's get there. Right, so page 16.
Right, Eddie, I'm back on air.
So, sound levels are drowning out the marshal's space, so try and keep that down just a tiny bit. Back to where we were. Number 90. That is over some pages. Number 90. On page 16, Richard Walker, a non-starter. Also 91, Gavin McLaren, on the same page and class, a non-starter. Then number 98, who is on the facing page 17, John Stockley is a non-starter. Number 8, sadly, number 8, Robert Kenrick is a non-starter. He's also in Class I on page 17. Turning over another, on the same page, I beg our pardons. Lynn Owen 805 and Steve Owen 105. Non-starters, although I know they're here. Number 122. Okay, the sound check passes. So you've got, Jerry said as far away as you can, that's good. That's the only means you've got of adjusting the volume, unfortunately. Just to either speak more softly or move the microphone to another county. So, number 122, Mark Dalton. So Mark Dalton is in class, merged class J2 on page 19. J2, that's Mark Dalton, number 122 in the Empire Evo, a non-starter. Turning over another couple of pages, number 146, number 20, page number 20. Ben Stevenson, number 146, a non-starter. Onto the big class L, at the very top of the class there. Mineeff, a non-starter. They're just too busy with the boys this weekend, playing rugby and so on. Can't manage it, sadly. And cutting back a few more pages with Drowne, which is slightly different, means that we have to pull out on the morning of the event. That is star number 28, which is on page 8. Roger Banks, so he's withdrawn. Problems with the fuel pump on the VW Golf R, sadly, and so he would have been pretty much in with a shout, I think, with David Dyson going missing. But I think you meant to watch in that class will be number 33, Reilly in the 5-cylinder turbocharged all-wheel drive Audi TT, or Sean Toms in the likewise turbocharged and all-wheel drive Subaru Impreza. So they'll be meant to watch, I think. Right, so I'm now joined by Jerry Sturman. Let's see if Jerry's switched on and can give us some of his regular words of wisdom. I'm sure he can.
Morning, Eddie. I hope the volume's okay on this mic. I've got it as far away from my head as I can make it. Well, this, of course, is the final stanza, as they say, of the British Championship. It's the British Hill Climb Championship and also the Hill Climb Leaders Championship. And both of these series have already been decided. The leaders, in fact, by Robert Kendrick, who, as Eddie told you, is unfortunately a non-starter here today. But the British Hill Climb Championship has already been won as far back as Gersten Down by Wallace Mineeff, definitely the man on form this year. And he also set the fastest time in practice yesterday with the only sub-45-second run of the day in somewhat changeable conditions yesterday.
Yeah, almost miraculous, that performance from Wallace.
Yeah, tremendous performance. The second quickest yesterday was, in fact, Richard Spedding, who is currently in 4th place overall in the British Championship. There's an outside chance if he goes extremely well and Dave Uren has a problem that he could grab 3rd place from Dave Uren, but it's a little unlikely because he's actually 9 points behind and there are only 2 more chances to score. But second overall in the British Championship is Alex Summers, who's had a tremendous season and only scored his first run-off win of the year at Doon a fortnight ago, and that was in fact in a tie with newly crowned champion Wallace Mineeff. So a great season from Alex Summers, and when he gets his new engine next season with a lot more power and particularly torque, similar engine to Wallace's in the Firestorm, that should be certainly worth watching. Alex Summers, of course, already a champion back in 2015 when he took the title driving alongside Scott Moran in the all-conquering GR61X Gould. And pleased to say that after a somewhat protracted season, just doing occasional events, that Scott is here today on his home hill, and he was going well in the top 6 in practice yesterday as well. We can give you the times, in fact, set yesterday for the top 6.
Jerry, if I could just dive in with a couple of commercials right at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Deliver those. We have, unfortunately, our good friend Paul Bakehouse, who normally runs the catering here, took ill about a month ago, so we've got a stand-in for him, and they're available at the top end of the paddock, as always, for a range of cooked and cold goods. The bar behind us will be open sometime this afternoon, and certainly always very popular at the end of the meeting. and we're expecting one of the two well-known ice cream vans. And when they arrive, the first port of call, I understand, is post 9 to deliver an ice cream to John Brownlee, who's up there today. And also, we are supported this weekend by Ryder Mini with a course car that you can see if you're down here. You can see next to the BARC rescue unit. We thank them for their assistance. They also have the latest BMW 8 Series convertible, which is a stunning piece of kit, and their new M5 with Ryder's own M5 competition pack. An absolute force to be reckoned with. We may see them. They did a couple of parade display runs behind the course car yesterday. We might see them again. I'll tell you if we see them.
To Roy, yeah.
Hello, Steve.
Yeah, no, I had talked to them.
Steve, you're on air.
No, there's nothing. Yeah, I thought it was going to be that. No. I'm.
Steve, you're on air. I think he can hear us, sadly. There we go. Never mind. Let's get stuck into the biscuits, folks. So, yes, Rybrook's supporting us this weekend. They've got a display of cars at the level area near the paddock exit from the track. Go and have a look at that. Have a chat with their people. I'll be pleased to chat to you about the range of Mini products and BMW products, including the new... They did have a new 1 Series yesterday, which is the first front-wheel drive conventional BMW, although there was that intermediate 2 Series ran for a little while. Hill just about ready for use. It's a bit damp out there, folks, so and bear in mind, practice is over now. This is all timed runs this morning, so we'll be running through the classes from beginning to end, and followed by the first of our 2 top 12 run-offs before lunch, and it is after the last competitor, when we know who the qualifiers are, that we're likely to see the Rybrook cars on the hill.
Well, we were just having a quick run through the championship positions. We mentioned the British Championship, of course, the Hill Climb Leaders Championship, which has been decided, as we said, in favour of Robert Kenrick, is still open, but it is quite possible, in fact, that there could be changes there as well, because lurking in the Leaders Championship down in 4th place, just checking my tables, yes, it's Jonathan Varley, and he could well snatch 3rd place from Stephen Moore, who's not actually here today. Varley's only 1 point behind, and the current Loton class record holder, and the man who set a new record at Doon last weekend in the 2-litre normally aspirated cars, could move into the top 3 in the Hill Climb Leaders Championship. And in the Midland Hill Climb Championship, it's that man, Robert Kenrick, who is once again in charge, with Tony Adams in 2nd place in the Elise, and Ash Mason in 3rd place in the supercharged Westfield Suzuki. Paul Howells is in 4th. He's here today as well, but not really in touch with Ash Mason. So yes, we're underway. And it is David Garnett.
And it's David Garnett who's on the hill in the little Renault Clio. So he's one of a short batch of a couple of cars who will take to the hill and return immediately before we get on with batch 2, which has about 25 cars in it. John Watson coming our way. And let's see if we can get the...
David Garnett up into Fallow. Freewheeling through Museum. And David Garnett through the finish line. 71 seconds exactly.
So it's John Watson next up to complete this very short batch in the Lotus Elise 111R. Should be with you, Steve.
John Watson now up into museum in the Lotus Elise. He's sharing with Tony Adams. John heads through the finish with a 74.21. 74.21. And that's the end of the batch.
Thanks, Steve. So just those two competitors so far. When we get to the end of each batch, I will give you the current class positions. Bear in mind that these days, for the last couple of seasons, you score points in both of your timed runs, so effectively two completely separate competitions, morning and afternoon, two completely separate British Championship rounds, run off 1 and run off 2. So we'll keep you posted on those class positions as the day unfolds, and again this afternoon.
Meanwhile, we'll just check with Steve while we've got a break. Can you hear us now, Steve?
You're very, very faint. I can only hear you through the loudspeaker on the inside of Fallow. The actual speaker at museum isn't working.
Okay. Well,
So it's...
well, we'll do our best,
Just
Steve.
like
What we'll do is we'll try and hand across to you the moment we see a cedar speed, which means the car's approaching you, doesn't it? So we'll try and do it that way and do our best to hand over and then pick up again when you've finished giving us the time of the completed run.
So with the cars...
I'm just having flashbacks to Are You Being Served?
With the cars back in the paddock, we're underway now with the completed classes. The first of the full classes, Class A1, which is the 2-litre road-going series production cars. Then we've got A2, the over 2 litres, and then Class B, the road-going specialist production car. Just a couple of those, but the first two classes are well populated, very competitive. And initially it's David Garnett who is leading that Class A1 with 71 seconds in his Renault Clio Cup. And the man to look out for, of course, is Tony Adams with the Lotus Elise, essentially one of the quickest men, and who's currently second overall in the Midland Hill Climb Championship, but we're in action now.
Yeah, we're back in action. Here comes... no, it's not telling me who we've even got in front of us now, sadly.
Yeah, it should be Rob Morgan in the Peugeot 205 GTI number 16, but we've got nothing coming up on our screen.
No. Got no start line camera either, so... could we have a visit from our timekeepers, please, or give us some assistance with a couple of things here? It would be of some use to us if we could, so we're going to need to rely on the time over there, Joe. So number 17 goes past, and refer back to the programme.
And Rob Morgan charges through the finish, 68.98. 68.98.
And now here comes Dave Warner down the hill and into Triangle Bend.
Ooh, and Rhys Jones just hangs the tail out a little bit in the MX-5, coming out of both Fallow and Museum. So a hard charge from the Wrexham-based driver, and he's through the finish 71.2.
71.2.
Dave Warner now heading up into Museum. And the Renault Clio through the finish 69.64. 69.64.
And next along is the car we saw a few minutes ago, this time in the hands of number 19, Ian Richards, already disappearing from sight at the exit from Keeper's Bend. And a car away
Ian
from the
Richards
start
braking
line.
heavily into fallow in the Clio. Round Museum. And Ian Richards over the finish, 68.26. 68.26 goes into the lead of the class.
Tony Adams faster. Tony already making the exit from keepers.
Potentially the quickest man in the class. The time to beat, 68.26 at the moment from Ian Richards.
And the flip-flop clips but not disturbed. And this is number 21, that's Dave West. Not running with his son this weekend, just running alone.
Tony Adams exits Museum, going steadily in the Elise. And Tony Adams' time is 70.3, 70.3. Dave West into fallow.
Right, here's the nutty man himself, that's Richard Brandt. I call him that name for him when he used to drive his old share of Cosworth.
And the hugely successful Dave West in the little Peugeot through the finish, 66.06. 66.06 now leads the class.
Next along is an Audi TT, so we're moving on into Class A2. This is Andrew Collins. Two Audi TTs in this
Richard
class.
Brandt through Museum. And Scary over the finish line, 66.81 for Richard Brandt, goes second.
So the class led by Dave West with the 66.06 and third place on 68.26 is Ian Richards.
Now here's
Andrew
number
Collins through Museum in the Audi TT.
Number 26, Richard York, making the exit from keepers.
Now the time for Andrew Collins, 66.64. Richard York into and out of out of fallow.
Bob Penrose, number 27, returning after some years away from hill climbing. Used to run single seaters, of course, in the thoroughly modern Mini.
And Richard York through the finish, 70.42.
Next along is the bright orange Porsche of number 29, Ross McDonald. Already disappearing from our side.
Bob Penrose into and out of Museum. The little BMW Mini Cooper S supercharger winding away. And through the finish for Bob Penrose, 74.82.
Here's Howard, took-on school instructor Peter Herbert in this Porsche. Driven here, of course, to all the meetings, driving this morning, having stayed overnight in a local B&B.
First of our British Championship contenders looking to set a qualifying time for the opening runoff.
Ross McDonald, the crisp Porsche 911 through the finish, 71.03. And the throaty 911 of Peter Herbert out of Museum.
John Maycock, another who drives his car to event.
Through the finish, 68.1 for Peter Herbert, 68.1.
Yeah, so first qualifier there from Peter.
Second in class at the moment.
John Maycock with you. And here's number 32, that's Simon Tarling.
John Maycock in the Mazda MX-5, charging through the finish line. Goes into the lead of the class with a 63.51.
Now here comes Rick Leddy, and National B meetings here at Loton, he's almost unbeatable in this class. May not be the same today.
Simon Tarling in the Porsche 996 bobbles his way through Museum, over the top and through the finish, 68.30, 6830.
Here's Sean Thoms to complete Class A2 with Dave Dyson being a withdrawal.
So the lead at the moment, John Maycock 63.51 with the Mazda.
Rick Leddy through the finish, 63.56 for the Audi driver.
Just 500ths in it, he takes second place.
Moving on to Class B, here's John Pick in the unique in British hill climbing AMS Matire, a sports car based on Subaru architecture.
Sean Tom heading for the finish. He stops the clock, 65.65 for Sean Tom.
Fourth place. Now it's Tim Higgins, local taxi proprietor from up in Osler Street.
And John Pick locks up going into Museum, slowed right down, now gets the pace back up.
Tim Higgins was just about the smallest steering wheel in captivity, accentuated by his bright yellow gloves, of course.
The time for John Pick, 64.98.
Oh, and here's a very quick car. Oh, and straight on and back to the paddock goes number 757, Paul Drowne. Locked it up, slithered straight on with plenty of right lock on, through the cones, avoided the cones, slipped through the cones, and straight back to the paddock. That was a...
Tim Higgins on a steady run, he's through the finish, 72.35.
So, a nil point for Paul Drowne. So red lights on the hill, and the Aston Martin Vantage of Andy Fraser comes to a halt. Andy Fraser going to be returned to the paddock for a restart, as is customary in this sport. So Paul Drowne up on the screen as a fail. Right, Mark's back on. So, yeah, so Paul Drowne failed. That was one of those moments where you're clenching yourself, hoping that he doesn't strike anything, and he managed to completely even avoid the cones. Right, I've restarted the programme, so we now can see the running car on the hill So I can tell you that although we don't have a start line camera, Jason Tunnicliffe is on the hill. He did a 2.84 away from the start to the 64 foot. Jason Tunnicliffe tries to win and manages to avoid what Drowne did. Oh, this is considering the slithery conditions, this is a quick run. He'll be with Steve in just a few seconds' time.
Jason Tunnicliffe now heading up into Museum Bend. Little 2.1 litre Peugeot 205 up into Museum already. And Jason Tunnicliffe through the finish 65.59. 6559.
So there's still a couple of cars to run in this batch. The rerun for Andy Fraser, and we haven't seen Laura Wardle yet with the Porsche Carrera. Yes, we have.
She's down as a fail.
She's down as a fail, yes. We not quite sure what happened there.
No, I didn't
Our
see
computer
that.
was out of action at the time. It's now working again. Eddie's managed to reboot it.
Yeah, with my right foot.
Yeah, heavily.
Right, here we are. This is Andy Fraser now. Very quick restart. Recycled him through the paddock with great efficiency. Laura Wardle is on the hill now, so she's somewhere on her way towards us. So that's a bit of a spurious message on the screen. Andy Fraser going to be with Steve any moment now, and Laura Wardle in the white Porsche coming to view right now.
Which she's been sharing with Jonathan Williamson for the last 35 years. Note the inscription on the roof and the thanks for the cake
Andy
to
Fraser
celebrate it, because the
Museum. Taking every advantage of the Aston Martin's power as he crosses the line, 67.68.
So last runner in the
Laura
back
Wardle
should be with
bursts
you.
into view, heading into Museum. Just a run to the finish, very steadily through the corner. And Laura Wardle through the finish with a 68.51. And that should, I believe, be the end of the batch.
Yeah, looking like it. Right, we'll go and have a look at some class positions, shall we? Having seen a couple of completed first sets of time runs in the batches. So, well, a not unusual battle in Class A1. The road-going series production cars up to 2 litres. The 3, 2, 1 positions there are that Ian Richards sitting in third place at the moment, 68.26, because there will be an award for overall best in each class, which will be awarded after the meeting this afternoon. Second place, Richard Brandt, returning after almost a full season away. The car broke in Gubbio at the FIA Masters last October, just under a year ago. Managed to get all the gearbox and all the rest of it back together quite recently, and has come back storming at it. Second place on 66.81, but our old man of the hills, Dave West, who was established in hill climbing as far back as 1967, along with a few other chaps in hill climbing. He still keeps doing it. He's still got the Mini he had way back then when he was one of the last ever competitors at the original Chateau Impney Sprint, Dave West, and he's appeared at all the recreations since then. He leads on 66.06, then at A2. The road-going series production cars over 2 litres. Well, John Maycock's Mazda, of course, has got the factory turbo kit, which are normally fitted in the dealers. And, well, very quick car there. He's in the lead, but the 3-2-1 is that Sean Tom's in the Subaru, 65.65. Second place at Rick Leddy in the Audi Black Edition with that big straight 5 turbocharged engine, permanent 4-wheel drive, which is what all-wheel drive is. 63.56 this time. John Maycott, though, 63.51. Super job by John.
Tim Higgins, number 40, will be the last car down in the batch.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, so we'll move on to that class. So John picked in the AMS Messiah, 64.98. I'm going to assume that Tim had a bit of a moment. I'd have expected his time to be a bit closer to John Pick. So Tim's second place, just the two in the class, 72.35, so it's from 8 seconds further back, or 7.5 seconds further back than John Pick. Here's Tim now, returning to paddock. And we've seen just a couple of cars. Where are we? Yeah, we've just seen the 3 cars so far in C3, so currently Jason Tunnicliffe in the lead, but with the majority of the competitors yet to come, including the 5 times Midland Hill Climb champion Mike Turpin, who should be the last runner if everything goes according to schedule, with no red flags or recalls. And at the moment, just the one competitor qualified for the British Hill Climb Championship runoff. He's unlikely to survive that long, unless, of course, there is a downpour of biblical proportions, and that's Peter Herbert, 68.1, in the only Porsche to ever score points in the British Hill Climb Championship over at Craig Amplet a few seasons ago. And I think actually it was the first tin top as well, but then superseded by David Finley's efforts in a couple of Lexus cars in consecutive years.
You think we've had 6? I think we've had various Ulster 6R4s getting
to go back far enough. Yeah.
Dennis Biggerstaff and people like that.
Yeah, my dad told me about that, Jerry.
Yeah. I was there.
I always said, yes, you would have been, of course. Yeah. So the hill's cleared again. Course car returns to its parking position. We've also got the course car, which is the Rybrook Mini, the very latest year model. They citivate them and restyle them every 2 or 3 years. So if you see the original Mini from year 2000 or thereabouts parked up against the current one, you can really see the difference. The current one with a much more aggressive stance and a high waistline. I don't know quite how they keep following this. Apparently the next generation of Minis will start to shrink again and get back to where the old car originally was in 1959. Ian Sargent now on the hill, so cart number 45. Ian Sargent in Class C1. Some quick runners in this class as well, of course. Gavin Neat, a bit of a Northern Hill Climb specialist. Comes Ian Sargent in this Opel Tigra. Not many of these, and it's pretty much the full space frame, isn't it, this one? So I always think makes it look a bit like a Henson Hills hot rod. Andy Russell, the man with, I think he said 39 years hill climbing and 36 years in this particular car, the Jeanette, at the last count. Somewhere I've got all the details in a great big folder down at my feet, but it's just getting it all out and trying to find him in there. Gavin Neat on the hill, so 3 cars on the hill at the moment.
That's the man to look out for, though. He's going to be Eric Morrie with the turbocharged in. Hand cut a set of wets recently.
Ian Sargent through the finish, 76.77. We've now got Andrew Russell into Fallow.
Here's Gavin Neat going past us in the Peugeot, very tidy. The little car being pushed as hard as Gavin possibly can. Then followed by Brad Drowne.
Andrew Russell through the finish, 65.55 for Andrew Russell.
Brad Drowne, the current Sorry, it's Martin Decker who holds this start for the record from many years ago. Way back
in the Peugeot 106. Up and over the finish, 63.29, goes into the lead.
Now you've got Brad Drowne coming your way. Eric Murray in the very quick turbocharged Hartwell Imp will be with us any moment now. Because it's a Hartwell engine in the back of Andrew Russell's car, but stretched a wee bit up to 1120 cc. Oh, and a slithery approach to Triangle 4. Eric Murray.
Brad Drowne in the little Citroen AX over the finish. He also now goes into the lead with a 62.78.
That's the target for Eric Murray. Looked on course. He was quick in practice yesterday. Can he do it?
Next along, Paul Meadows moving on to Class C2. One in which we saw Paul Drowne.
Eric Murray up into Museum. The run to the finish with the little Hillman in. Eric Murray over the finish, 65.07, goes into third.
Local guy Mark Honey coming down the hill and around Triangle already. Just about an ever present at every single Loton meeting during the summer. Our very popular class.
Paul Meadows in the green Clio, charging through the finish line, 66.76.
Yeah, here's Mark Linforth now in the Ford Fiesta. Slightly stretched 1700cc engine in this one.
Mark Honey into Museum already with the 205. Regular here at Harewood. Loton Park.
Who do you think you are?
Mark Honey through the finish, 69.72.
Well, where do you think you are? Now here comes Mr. Entertainment, Steve Bailey. He's brought the Ford Escort out. This should be a tail-happy run. Yeah, there we go. The back end skips out as ever. He should be pretty good up there when Steve got him in sight in about 10 seconds time or so. Now Darren Balster coming our way in a car with some history, this Peugeot 205.
Mark Linford through the finish of the Fiesta, 66.9. Steve Bailey with the Mark 1 Escort already into and out of fallow.
Darren Balster with a brand new remanufactured gearbox.
And Steve Bailey going to take the lead of the class with a 63.04.
What can Darren Balster do? Then Colin Satchell's coming our way. This is the guy who ought to lead the way. He saw Paul Drowne go slithering off in the same car, but Satch gets it safely through Triangle. I think he thought his driving style safe, and he's out of keepers. Tim Painter on the hill now, so the big Aston Martin moving on a further class.
Darren Balster taking it very steady in his 205 through the finish, 71.95. Colin Satchell already up into Museum.
Now Tim Painter, big Aston Martin.
And Colin Satchell streaks through the finish, 61.39, takes the lead of the class.
Yeah, pretty much as expected. Darren Balster wasn't on the pace, was he, with that 71.95, sadly.
But we still to see Carl Stevens, who switched to this class with his Escort Mark II 2-litre. He's no longer in Class C3 with the Volkswagen Golf Turbo.
Jonathan Williamson past us now, the Irish-born Cornish Somerset resident. Moved around a bit in his life.
Painter through the finish, 67.34.
Here's Carl Stevens now, anywhere. Any second now we'll see him come through. Yeah, here he is. Out of Fletcher's Dello, back end kicked out. This should be an interesting run. Oh, that was safe and steady by Carl standards. Not what we expect.
Jonathan Williamson now charges over the crest of the hill and through the finish. 64.51 goes into the lead.
You've got Carl Stevens coming your way. We're looking at the Tom Reeves now. So Tom Reeves is...
Carl Stevens, of course, in the Mark II Ford Escort, has been moved back into Class C2.
Carl Reeve sharing with Jason Tunnicliffe, who we saw a few minutes ago in the previous match.
Through the finish, 65.22.
Nigel Elliott in the less than sensible Triumph CR7 V8. Twin turbo, big stretch rover V8. All in a car with about the shortest wheelbase you could dream of. Here he comes now, Nigel Elliott. Yeah, that's well under control. The car does squirm about a little bit on the straight, however.
Tom Reed crosses the line in a cloud of spray, 62.75. Goes into the lead. Nigel Elliott rumbles up Cedar Straight and through Fallow. Nigel Elliott through the finish, 65.73.
Mike Turpin now. Paul Howells with you. Here's Mike Turpin, the 5-time Midland champion in the ex-Rallycross Vauxhall. No, something's happened to him.
Paul Howells going very quickly through the top part of the hill, and he's through the finish, 60.48, becomes the new class leader.
Looks like we've got a bit of a track inspection having to go on here. Marshall on track with the broom and the good old cement dust, courtesy of Blue Circle or somebody or other. Yeah. A little bit of that going down. Mike Turpin got a flag, I see, so he was flagged. No, they're trying to go Morgan. So Mike Turpin was flagged somewhere after the start line and before loggerhead, so here he comes now, just steadily coasting back towards the paddock for a restart. So that VH220 was originally a Rallycross car in the British Championship. Used to stand a little bit taller on its springs if you go back far enough. Mike still has his big transporter that he carries the VX around the country in. Still only the one runner registered for the British Championship has taken to the hill. So we'll see those over the next couple of batches, culminating in batch 7 of 8. Now we will see the short number cars, the cars that carry the number. We had to, quite recently, I was surprised that somebody I knew relatively well at another hill who didn't quite understand the business with the numbers 1 to 10 on the cars. So that signifies the position that they held in the season before the season they're running. So last year's winner, and the outgoing British champion Trevor Willis carries the number 1. Will Hall number 2. Wallace Ming is number 3, and so on. So next year it'll be Wallace with the number 1 on the GR59M. Look forward to seeing that. He's put a massive amount of effort, and of course Wallace always quite particular about making sure he mentions the members of the team. Tom New keeps his eye on the car, prepares it in the week, and Duncan Barnes also helps out at events. He's and of course the Gould concern who provide the car in the first place. Wallace always very, very keen to ensure that people know it's all about the team.
And in fact, Wallace was hill climbing in St Moritz, I think it was.
St Moritz, yeah, the bottom end of the Engadine Valley there, in Switzerland, where all the best independent movement makers come from that valley, of course. Yeah, the hill climb there, it was very, very spectacular, and some of the paddock alongside a lake, by the looks of it, from the pictures that I've seen so far. Well, there's even some geyser degreaser going down on the track, courtesy of Clerk of the Course or Richardson. Paul will be Clerk of the Course at the HSA Sprint in 2 weeks' time at Kerborough, where our good colleague Jerry here in the box will be in the brand new commentary box, which he's yet to see and experience in the flesh, or in the steel box is what it is. It's an incredible thing mounted about 15 feet up in the air.
Certainly a change from the old green lorry that's been there.
It is, yeah. Well, the old truck body is still on the other side of on the grass, stuck in the hedge.
Be a good weekend because Saturday will be run on the 2-lap course, and will also include the traditional Allan Payne Memorial Trophy runoff for the class winners. They get an additional run, and it's based on improvement on class winning time. And then on Sunday, it will be the figure of 8 course, the crossover course.
And of course, you've got the pleasure of my company as club steward.
Yes, well, we'll look forward to that.
Stewards with Keith Squire on the Sunday.
Interesting entry. We've got it's a bit of an end of season jolly for some of the British Championship hill climbers, because we've got Trevor Willis, who will be driving a Formula Ford for the first time, because he's sharing with Richard.
You should see Sarah Bosworth in her newly acquired Formula Ford.
Yes. And I think we've also got Dave Uren sharing the DJ Firehawk with Alex Summers.
Yeah, it's going to be good fun. It often used to be the case when the MAC used to run on the weekend before that, where you would see Roy Lane testing his car ready for next season. First time we ever saw his GR55 was at an October Kerborough.
So it should be 2 good days entertainment in a fortnight's time at Kerborough.
Free entry, so if you turn up, if you can take the trouble to travel there. It's actually my closest speed venue, of course, so it's not very far from me. But keen to do, it's about 10 or 12, 11 years since I last did a session as a club steward, that being at Silverstone for a British Sprint Championship round, going way back. Right, looks like the hill is, the geyser has gone down, and that should disperse whatever it was. And Graham Manton away from the start line. So Graham, these days, he's the secretary of the Hagley District Light Car Club that run the events here at Loton. He's in the Little Fisher Fury. Shares with daughter Becky, who we'll see in a bit. So we should see Graham and Manton and Joy Hoyle running from first runners in Class D, a class without capacity brakes, so everything from sort of 750 forced induction up to as big as you like. Mike Turpin restarting and away from the start. That's fairly quick away over the 64 foot in the damp. Here's Mike now. Second go at the hill. Big burst of power. Really, that car really does put the power down, even in these dreadful conditions.
He's chasing 60.48 from Paul Howell.
68.57 for Graham Manton in the Z-Tech Fisher Fury. We've now got Mike Turpin at the top of the hill with the VX220.
is Joy Hoyle.
Turpin charging through the finish. 16.82. Only good enough for second place behind Paul Howell.
With a turn up for the books, and he appears to be going very, very quickly. Here's Joy Hoyle, second runner in Class D, sharing this Supercharged Westfield this season with former Midland champion Ash Mason.
Joy Hoyle into and out of fallow in the Westfield Hayabusa that she shares with Ash Mason. 1340cc supercharged engine. And Joy over the finish, 66.01. And that, I believe, is the last car in the batch.
Yeah, it should be. So I'll go back and give you a bit of an update as to where we are in certain of the classes. So we can now give you the position after the first set of class runs. Oh, and there's the Rybrook mini course car on the way up the hill. So you can go and see another of these minis parked up in the paddock with the Rybrook guys. Right, so Class C1, modified series production cars up to 1400cc. And Eric Murray in the Turbo Imp 65.07 holds in third place at the moment. Gavin Neat in the little Peugeot 63.29. But in the lead, Brad Drowne in the Citroen AX 62.78. Moving on to Class C2. And the three positions here are that Paul Meadows holds third place after their first set of runs today, 66.76 his time. Second place, number 55, Steve Bailey, local guy, always spectacular in the Ford Escort or the Peugeot, whichever car he's using, 63.04 his time. But Colin Satchell, number 57, in the lead there, 61.39, the only one in that class, sub 62 seconds so far today. Hold on, breaking news.
Hello, gentlemen.
Yeah, well,
use that. Yeah, the paparazzi have arrived at museum. Oh, I'm keeping out of mischief.
I'm going to give you C2 again. The timekeeping system hasn't shown Carl Stevens in the correct position. So it's Carl Stevens who is third, 65.22. They're still showing him in his other class that he should have been in the VW Golf. Second place is Steve Bailey on the 63.04. And Colin Satchell in the lead. Yeah, 61.39 this time. So thank you, Jerry, for doing it the good old-fashioned manual way, proving that the old-fashioned ways are still the best when push comes to shove. Right, so on to Class C3, the modified series production cars over 2 litres. And Tom Reeves is third, 62.75 this time. Mike Turpin, as we just heard, couldn't quite get into the lead. Second place on 60.82. Paul Howell sitting on the top for the morning, 68 his number. Paul Howell's time, 60.48. And we've only seen the 2 runners in Class D, so we'll give you the wrap on that at the end of the next batch of runners. Meanwhile, have we seen... I don't have a rear view mirror here, so I'm sure that a couple of our marshalling team, both in the paddock and at post 7 or 8, awaiting the arrival of the ice cream man, who of course becomes the most important person in hill climbing when he's here. Don't forget the catering van at the top of the paddock, not quite the usual big Paul Bakehouse one, slightly smaller but still serving a good range of stuff. I was very pleased with what I had yesterday. The bar will be open later, normally about 1 o'clock or thereabouts. That comes on. A couple of draft beers, usually a draft cider, and all the usual bottles and fizzy pops and so on. And that's where we hold the awards ceremony after the event, usually 20 to 30 minutes afterwards. Steve and I will do that awards presentation. We'll let Jerry can go because he's got about 140 miles to go home. 170, 170. I knew it was a fair old distance. So we'll do our usual double-hander end of season wrap up. And look forward to seeing you here next season. The full British Hill Climb Championship calendar not confirmed at the moment. Still not quite the news we were expecting about who's going to be handling the championship next year. Still awaiting a decision from the Motorsport Association. Sorry, the MSUK, I beg your pardon, is what they're called now, isn't it? Motorsport UK. And David Richards still have made some changes, but I think they've got a fair bit of work to go to get rid of some of the animosity that has existed. Right, so we are going out worldwide, I hope. I've not heard to the contrary, but yesterday afternoon there was a test of the worldwide webcast via YouTube. We should be going out live to the world. We welcome you if you are out there. We had people as far away as the Middle East and Australia, and I think there was somebody in the Philippines. You know, there are people all over the world in reasonable numbers now having a look at what we're doing here in British hill climbing. Usually they're expats who are familiar with what hill climbing is, but we do attract some new faces, and the coverage is good with loads of cameras, different angles, and picking up the sound from the PA. Let's hope we're not drowning them out too much. Right, Jerry Neary now on the hill, so we're underway with some more in Class D. Jerry Neary, a bit of a perennial competitor. He's competed in the Westfield over a large number of years, all over the country. He's been to Treganter, he's been to the Channel Islands, he's visited Doon, but he's always around the Midlands because he's from near Lutterworth. It's pretty much the home of grassroots motorsport in the UK because there is a grass auto test series takes place very close to Jerry's house in the summer months, usually about 6 Wednesdays either side of the longest day. So Jerry on his way. Here's Phil Goff, the Barben and Aintree clerk of the course, and sometime clerk of the course here in the who's Mrs. Aguirre, I'm afraid to say. And he's from McGold, which was the home of Hornby Railways and Meccano, would you believe?
Jerry Neary exits Museum in the Vauxhall-powered Westfield, up and over the finish in 70.01. You've got Phil Goff, we're looking out for Becky Manton, sharing the family Fisher Fury. And Phil Goff takes the scenic route round Fallow. Just kept it on the tarmac. Now on the run to the finish. And through the finish, 64.35 goes into the lead.
Now we're looking out for Ray Law now. He's hill climbing's own Oxford Don. He's also competed at many of the events around the UK at various times. He also went with Jerry Neary to the Channel Islands about 6 or 7 years ago.
Becky Manton into and out of Museum in the Fisher Fury Z-Tech. She shares with her father Graham. And Becky through the finish, 69.72.
Steve Garner now in his Westfield. 0.3 litre engine in this one. And drop the gear, it goes around.
And Ray Law through Museum in the Vauxhall powered Caterham. And over the finish line, 61.91. He takes the lead.
Now you've got Steve Garner. We're looking at next for either Simon Jenks or Ash Mason. Simon Jenks is away from the line in his Caterham Suzuki.
Class winner at Doon Hill Climb, fortnight ago, against all Scots. It'll be hard put to be that.
Heading to the finish, 63.3.
And here's Simon Jenks. He's the guy who walks the course not only before the meeting, but quite often at lunchtime as well. Takes it very, very seriously, does Simon. Always has done. Ash Mason next. retired from Bentley recently, but immediately re-secured to look after their historic fleet as a part-time occupation. Educated at Lancaster Poly in Coventry many years ago, 40 odd years ago.
Simon Jenks gives it a touch of opposite look as he comes out in museum and over the finish into the lead of the class, 59.49.
So next, Martin Watts in the little silver right. Takes that catering concept right to the very far reaches of outer space, so it's a bike engine.
Mason, after a big cut at Fallow, heads through the finish, and he goes into the lead now with a 58.85.
The silver striker, the silver right Yamaha R1 engine in the back. So imagine taking yourself a Caterham and sticking a bike engine behind the driver. You've got the general idea. Here's the Maguire Mini Cooper S of Derek Kessell. Fairly extreme Mini, of course. Brought by Maguire's in Torrington Avenue in Coventry originally.
Martin Watt through the finish with the Silver Riot, 68.05.
Looking at
Derek Kessell arrives at Fallow, going very, very rapidly, gets it stopped nicely, up into museum. And the ex-Ginger Marshall Maguire Mini heads through the finish, 62.47.
And now we move on to Class G, the over 2 litre Sports Libra. We've just seen Graham Lakes go past us in the Lola Push. Steve will pick him up. And a Christian Mineeff away from the start line in the Pilgrim MP43 with 2.8 half in the back of the car. My favourite sports car sports racer currently competing on the British Hills.
Graham Lokes in the X-Sports 2000 Lola T492, now with his 3.2 litre Porsche engine, over the finish, 70.74.
Oh, Christian Mineeff almost, he just touched off on the grass there. I thought he was going to spin off into the ferns, into the bracken, but he got away with it. Boil wash moment, they call that one, and he's on his way to you. Allan McDonald next in the thoroughly mad Morris Mini Evo.
Rapid approach to Fallow for Christian Mineeff, big cut at the corner, now up through museum.
Here comes the mental Mini.
And Christian Mineeff over the finish, 61.45.
Former motorbike racer Allan McDonald won the 1988 Manx Motorcycle Grand Prix. You can tell a retired racing motorcyclist because they limp with both legs. Should be with Steve now. Here comes his Soul 600cc.
We've now got the little Morris Mini Evo Mitsubishi into museum. Allan McDonald streaking for the finish and goes into the lead of the class with a 59.61.
Well, he and Christian Mineeff, of course, registered for the British Championship, so we've got a couple of other qualifiers now. Les Buck in the little OMS Hornet with you. Now here comes Richard Summers in the DJ Firehawk, the only DJ Firehawk with spaceman chassis that Del Quigley and the team ever built.
Les Buck in the RMS Hornet through the finish, 64.66.
So Richard Summers with Steve any moment now, moving on to Adam Greenen, first of the two Greenen brothers in their Empire Evo 2.
Richard Summers now charging towards the finish in the Firehawk and through the finish, 56.97.
Spin at triangle for Adam Greenen, shakes his head, no damage, absolutely middle of the track, about a yard and a half away from the apex. So the back end skips around. Mark Lawrence in the OMS is being pulled up. So it looks like Adam Greenen is going to continue at non-racing speed to the finish. It's probably the British way to deal with that, in fact.
Unfortunately, I think he's blown his chance of qualifying for the opening runoff. And currently top qualifier is Richard Summers then, with that 56.97 that we've just seen.
Adam Greenen just cruising to the top of the hill. And eventually through the finish, 82.55.
Yeah, looks like we're ready to go again. Mark Lawrence, we didn't see. I was expecting to see him be brought back to the start. Mark Lawrence, of course, we last saw in the best part of 20 years ago, and he had a very, very quick green, Kermit Green OMS CF, in which he won the 1999 Leaders' Championship, so a racer of massive experience. Now this weekend sharing the OMS 3000M with Harry Pick. We did do one session of commentary with us earlier this year. It kind of him to do that, and he acquitted himself marvellously well and showed great ability. Obviously, as a racer, he understands what's going on. He was very clear and lucid on the mic too. We look forward to welcoming him back sometime when he's got the time. Love to see him do it again. It looks like the gate is closed and we're ready to rock and roll.
And I think we should be seeing Mark Lawrence come straight back, because that would have been the last car to run in this batch. So I think Mark Lawrence will come straight back to the start line and take his rerun.
And Jerry will be amused to hear that last weekend in another place I had to remind my co-commentators exactly who Mark Lawrence was. They seem to have forgotten anything prior to the year 2000.
A long time OMS driver.
Yeah,
very quick.
He was very, very quick. I remember the way he used to deal with the S's at Shelsley. Walsh, it was always worth watching. In the little bright green, wasn't it, Jerry? Lime green.
Yes, and he is away again to take the final run of this batch.
Yeah. Yeah, he may have lost his touch just a little bit after 20 years doing other stuff, but we're pleased to see him back. Celebrate the fact that he is one of our past championship winners.
He's not registered for the British Championship, so this won't be a qualifying run. His co-driver Harry Pick, of course, is. We'll see him in the next batch.
And of course, Harry is the son of AMS Matthias driver John Pick. Right, the paddock.
Mark Lawrence into and out of Fallow in the Harry Pick OMS 3000M. A return to hill climbing for Mark, and he's to the finish 58.64. That is the end of the batch.
Yeah, would have qualified him second if he was registered for the championship. Right, so we will go back to Class D and give you the wrap-up of the positions so far. Class D, specialist production cars, as I say. No capacity brake there if you're not familiar with it. A couple of those groups are rather like that. Usually, until recently, the biggest car we used to see in this class was the Warburton's 2.5 litre Ford Duratec powered Caterham. And the smallest would be something with a Yamaha engine in, I expect. Right, so the 3-2-1 here. So Reilly, Oxfordshire-based competitor, 61.91 in third. Second place, 77, Simon Jenks, 59.49. This is pretty much an old firm thing when it's Simon versus Ash this season. Leading the way, and that's car number 78, Ash Mason, in first place in Class D, 58.85 his time. Looking at the Sports Libra cars, up to 2 litres, would also incorporate Hill Climb Super Sports, that's Clubman's to use, if there were any in the class. Just the two runners there. Martin Watts in the Silver Riot, finding a little bit tricky on the hill, 68.05 but Derek Kessell ahead of him by several seconds, 62.47 for number 82, Derek Kessell in the Maguire Mini. Over 2 litre Sports Libra now, and as always, fascinating contest. Might only be 3 cars in the class, but it's always fascinating when you've got the experienced Christian Mineeff and you've got Allan McDonald in that very much homebrewed mini special. So Graham Lopes, number 85, did a 70.74. Christian Mineeff, number 86, a 61.45. But the only sub 60-second runner in that class so far today, number 87, Allan McDonald, 59.61. The man who has his own personal miniature hill climb. His front drive is the shortest hill climb in the world. It's about 95 feet long, I think. Quite an interesting little run that I've seen on video. Just the one 600cc racing car with no sign of Richard Walker and Gavin McLaren having declared non-starter. So Les Buck out there on his own again, 64.66 in the RMS Yamaha. And we've only seen 3 cars in Class I so far, the 1100cc racing cars. We'll just tell you that we saw Adam Greenen with a 82-second run, which was really a fail, I guess. He'd crossed the white line, they probably would have declared it. But Mark Lawrence, second, 58.64, Richard Summers at the top, 56.97 in the DJ Firehawk. But a lot of cars yet to come in that class. Sadly missing John Stockley, and even more sadly missing number 8, Robert Kenrick. Midland Championship winner, of course, again this season. We've got a nice little Formula Ford class coming at you, which is, as Jerry can tell us, is something that they're trying to encourage in the southern part of the country as well, with a proper Formula Ford day at Gerston Down, with a very large turnout. Right, we've got a car on the hill. Keith Weeks, the man from Stricken, which is a little stone-built village up in Aberdeenshire, but Keith lives outside the village up a track on a probably where he's got plenty of space to do what he does with this former Formula Ford car that he reworked into 1100 single-seater some years ago. Yeah, pretty much on a trailing throttle at Triangle Bend is Keith Weeks. Dave Tatham up next, car number 96. Dave Tatham now in another of these OMS Hornets. As far as I'm aware, this is the only one that's got a monoshop at the front end. It is the ex-work OMS Hornet from a few years ago.
Keith Weeks charging up to the finish line and through it, 63.11.
Next along Jim Spencer. Just got the roving crew.
Dave Tatham into Museum with a little RMS Hornet. And he's going to go into the lead of the class with a 55.09.
And Keith Weeks slotted into runners for our first run-off, unlikely to survive, and that's the way the changes. Put him 4th of 5 competitors, so 6th of 5. 6 competitors with Dave Tatham going quicker than Richard Summers. Jim Spencer in the homebrewed Reynard
Jim
Kawasaki.
Spencer into Museum with the 1988 Formula 3 Reynard, now Kawasaki powered, through the finish, 59.78.
Right, here's Clive Austin. Unfathomably, he drove a Ferguson TE20 tractor, immaculate one that belonged to him, up Chelsea Wharf last weekend, and nobody ever explained to us quite what he was doing and quite why he did it, but there we are. But he did it, that's 5 for you. Debbie Dunbar next, our ladies record holder. Off in this car, of course, that's in the Firestorm, and she's sharing with
Clive Austin arrowing for the finish line, and it's a 55.47 for Clive.
So, Richard Summers' future daughter-in-law, Debbie, on her way up the hill, sharing the car with him this weekend. Clive Austin only Midland registered, of course. Debbie Dunbar.
Debbie Dunbar, Ladies Hill record holder in the Firestorm, now in the Firehawk, and through the finish, 56.18.
Now here's the second of the Greenen brothers. This is Andy. I get confused as to which one's which, because one of the two of them holds the outright record at the Crystal Palace Sprint in Sydenham in London. I think that is this one. I think that's Andy.
Yes, I think it is Andy, Eddie.
Yeah.
Andy unfortunately spun away his chances of making the cut for the first run off. We'll see what his brother can do. They're usually very evenly matched.
Steve Marr next in the unique PCD Saxon, the precursor of the Predator and GWR Raptor. You can see the nose has got some resemblance. I was told by Martin Ogilvie, the designer, this is the most uncompromising Loton ever
And
built.
Greenen through the finish, 58.37.
Steve Marr coming towards you, Steve.
Thank you. The very little pretty PCD Saxon with Steve Marr at the wheel, heading to museum. And it's a 58.57 for Steve Marr.
Here's Harry Pick next. Here he comes into sight out of Prestigello. Car skipping about on the damp track. Just about avoids locking it up, still running wet tyres. Harry in the OMS 3000M. Next, Darren Gumbley. Regular in run-off territory at the offshore rounds. Darren Gumbley also a regular spinner at the offshore rounds.
Harry Pick up into museum, took a big cut at Fraulo with the OMS 3000M, and through the finish, 55.49.
Now, I thought Darren Gumbley was going to go into the barriers down here on the outside of the bend, but he just managed to steer it round. If he hadn't taken his foot off the brake, that would have been disaster.
Darren Gumbley into museum, had to back up a little bit, was running deep. The fourth T8, Kawasaki powered through the finish, 55.33.
Jack Cottrell now in the orange Force on his way. Now first of our Formula Ford, Steve Day. Here he is now, Prescott instructor at their Hillclimbs school.
Jack Cottrell also ran very deep into museum, through the finish, goes into the lead with a 55.06.
And that leads the qualifiers currently by 300ths of a second from David Tatham.
We now have 12 qualifiers. And from here on in, anybody who goes quicker, first to be dumped off the walking the plank will be Peter Herbert. Here's Carole Nicholls now in the Knight, but originally built by her father. Doug Old next.
Steve Day in the Swift through the finish, 67.2.
Here's Doug Old, steady as she goes, coming out of Prestigello. Likely to be the battle is to be between Steve Day
Carole
and
Nicholls up into museum with the Nike Mark IV.
Yeah, the battle likely to be between Steve Day, Charlie Reilly, Paul Morecombe, Sam Lester.
75.45 for Carole Nicholls. Doug Old into Fallow.
Steve Day currently quickest of the Formula Fords. might change any moment
And
now.
Doug all up and over the finish, 72 seconds dead.
Puts him second between Steve Day and Carole Nicholls. See what Chris Warden can do. Here's Charlie Reilly, he's always quick.
Chris Warden in the 1991 Swiss heads to the finish, and he goes with a 68.91 into second place behind Steve Day.
Look out for Charlie Reilly, Steve will, and here's Richard Weaver, our MOT and recovery specialist from Ludlow, not very far away from here.
Yeah, Charlie Reilly into and out of museum.
So none of these Formula Ford Championship registered. They don't really have to.
And Charlie Reilly, 65.01 into the lead.
Now I thought he might be in the mix. Now here's Paul Morecombe. Might be the oldest car here, but it's probably not going to be the slowest.
Could be the quickest. Off it is.
Richard Weaver now over the finish, 65.14 slots into second place.
There's Sam Lester coming our way, a bit slow away from the start. The 64 foot was over 3 seconds. She went very well yesterday, and the car slithers about as she leaves Triangle Bend. She's around keepers and away, and on the hill now Olivia Cooper, quick lady driver, former ladies record holder here of course.
Paul Morecambe in the Venerable Merlin, 68.68.
Here's Olivia Cooper coming down towards us, member of the Drowne family of course. Hill climbing father and 2 brothers. Big family of hill climbers, these guys.
Olympic ladies record holder. She took a new ladies record at Drowne last
heads to the
weekend.
finish, and it's a 65.91. Only good enough for third place at the moment.
Well, Olivia Cooper likely to be a qualifier for our first run-up at this stage.
Olivia Cooper charging to the finish, stops the clocks, 56.63.
Actually our sixth qualifier, and not quite the speed I was expecting. Now here's Allan Warburton, the tall fellow, former engine management specialist, retired and living in the Team Valley these days up above Tenbury Wells. Nicky Cottrell, Pilgrim MP62 coming our way. He's at Triangle already. Then Fisher Davis in the Reynard.
Momentary hesitation at museum for Allan Warburton as he wrestles the Gould through the corner. Stops the clock, 59.2.
Does qualify, but back in 10th place. And that's Pete Weeks out of it. Christian Mineeff on the danger position. And Fish Davis. Reynard with engine by her husband Terry. Bill Morris now, the old man of the hill.
Heading to the finish with a 65.01.
Eyes on for Bill Morris. Here he is. I'd say he's had his chips because he used to supply the
Fisher Davis in the Reynard, just the run to the finish. And it's a 61.6 for Trish.
Bill Morris, retired potato farmer from the furthermost southwestern tip of Welsh Wales at Dale. We're getting towards the end of the batch. Number 840, Nicola Dearden, who ought to be the last of them in the very heavily Gould modified Dallara from a few years ago.
No sign of Matt Ryder.
No sign of Matt Ryder yet. So, which car he's in.
Bill Morris taking it nice and steady over the finish, 70.3.
Nicola Dearden likewise taking it steadily in the In fact, this particular Dallara, it did actually get issued with a gold number. It was GR49. A lot of work done by them on the car for Leon Bachelier, the original owner.
Nicola Dearden approaching Fallow in the Gould Dallara. 2-litre Vauxhall engine, of course. This car used to be competed in with Leon Bachelier, who was the owner, who had it down to Gould for the modifications, and Nicola through the finish 69.59.
Now we are seeing Matt Ryder, and this is the recently acquired Empire Race chassis. It used to be an 1100cc car in the hands of first owner Simon Fido. Now it's got the Ryder's own 1600 engine in the back. It came from their previous Empire Evo.
So Matt Ryder up into Fallow with the Empire Wraith. First event for the riders with this particular chassis. And it's 55 seconds dead for Matt Ryder.
Yeah, fastest qualifier so far. We are scheduled to see him again in the Gould GR51, sharing with Sue Young. Well, championship registered in both cars. Can only score class points in that Empire Race because they originally entered in the 1600 class, and that means you're locked into that class for the season. So end of a batch, we'll go and have a look at some class positions. Libras we gave you, racing cars. Well, just Les Buck in the 600cc class, sadly, and 64.66. Number 92, Les Buck. We'll go and look at the 1100cc class. And, well, Darren Gumbley third in the now black-nosed Force TA, because he had a bit of a tumble somewhere a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Doon. 55.33 his time to be third in class currently. Dave Tatham, second place in the OMS Hornet, 55.09. And number 106, Jack Cottrell, 55.06, puts him at the head of that class. Formula Fords, all very competitive there. Conditions playing some part, I would say, in the destination of the class awards today. Sam Lester having some trouble with the slippery surface. Puts her third, number 116, Sam Lester, 65.91. Second place, Richard Weaver, he's bound to be pleased with that. Has been constantly improving incrementally all season, wherever he's been competing in the Midlands. So 114 Richard Weaver, that's 65.14. But in the lead, Charlie Reilly, 65.01 for number 113, Charlie Reilly. Great leading position there for him. And we've only seen 3 cars in the 1600cc racing cars, but it's Allan Warburton third at the moment, then Olivia Cooper. Matt Ryder at the moment, 55 seconds exactly in the lead, and also at the top of our qualification chart just for the moment. We'll give you the balance of the 1600 racing cars, of which there are many, including last season's number 9 Les Much and leading 1600cc competitors Zach Zammit, the Maltese champion, and not forgetting Iron Price, of course. He's always entertaining to watch and top value for money. So Zach Zammit, car number 125, please return to your car immediately. Zach Zammit, you're in the next batch. So number 125, Zach Zammit, back to your car. Double quick pronto.
Last car down the hill, number 111, Bougourd.
It's going to be interesting if Matt Ryder qualifies in 2 cars. We will need to consult with he who shall be obeyed, Tim Wilson, about what happens. We have a theory. We think we know what happens, but of course nobody's saying that we're right. Fairly unusual for there to be a competitor running 2 cars qualified for a championship. Remember Roger Moran running his Porsche rally car at Doon. Well, that was never going to get into a run-off qualification time. He'd only just picked the car up and it was sitting very high on its rally springs. And of course he did qualify the Gould GR61X. That's the most recent time I can occur there being two cars driven by a championship registered contender. Stand to be corrected, of course. No, Jerry can't remember that. Well, then it didn't happen. Jerry can't remember it. Hope you're enjoying the live feed. I'm getting some direct responses from a friend who accuses us of droning on. Well, that's the way it goes, chaps, so you're going to have to put up with it, wherever you are. And by the way, the commentary team at this end of the hill sponsored for biscuits today by the Brownlee family, for which we are extremely grateful. They're very nice, they're super quality, and okay. Bit of movement down here, we'll let you know what's occurring very shortly, once we've got a clue ourselves. Now, Mike Andrews did get onto the hill, car number 118, so one must assume that the triangle time we can see is actually a car going through in the other direction. So Mike Andrews, he's recently acquired OMS CF04 number 17, 1400cc car now. I think he's Scottish chap, isn't he? Steve, can you hear us? You know Mike Andrews, don't you? No, he's not hearing us, sadly. Right, well, we'll go into radio silence for a few minutes and leave the track crew to get on with what they need to do. Fairly small barrier class championship runners, and when the run-up will take place, and maybe when we see our good friends from Ryder who are sponsoring us this weekend make their range of cars to help. And when we see it happen down here, got the truck way back without the car.
the first of those three cars to actually set a qualifying time, the other two didn't. But 58.16 is good enough for ninth fastest qualifying time, which puts Allan Warburton on the bubble, as they say, with a 59.20. So that's the time now to beat to get in the runoff.
I believe that number 1, 2, 3, Steve Morgan has spun.
Yeah, coming out of Hall apparently, so he's not got, he's not set a time, a loggerhead time or speed. This is the first of the series of bends that culminates in Dello, opposite the commentary box at the top of the slope. Loton far from unique in having a downhill section. Harewood has one downhill section after the first right-hand bend. And of course, Gersten Down famously has a long downhill start where the cars plunge down the hill towards Quarry.
And reaching about 140 miles an hour at the bottom of the hill as well.
I suppose Prescott technically has got a downhill bit between the Torres and the rise up into Barton.
Yes,
it's not very long, but you are running downhill.
Fraser Auckland, of course, which last ran in 1974.
We know Marcus Pye was there,
yeah, well, so was I. I did the last two events at Fraser Auckland in 73 and 74. That had a very short, a very steep downhill section off the start, and at the end of that was a bank right-hand corner.
Yeah. Famous for it. You can just about see the course of it, Marcus told me. I've been back a couple of years ago and he tried to struggle his way around it.
Virtually overgrown.
Yeah, there's one gate face towards the finish is clearly
But the old paddock, which is a big field to the right of the hillside, is now housing estate, so changed a bit.
It's a bit of the story of Garnett. But most hill climbs are in the middle of nowhere where nobody really wants to build many houses.
Yes, but of course that was near Reading. It was Sir Nick Williamson's local hill, in fact.
Former champion, of course.
Yes, twice former champion, in fact.
Just dealing with Steve. Yeah, Steve Morgan's time comes up as a fail now on the screen. So another one who didn't get very far.
So after Steve Morgan, we'll be seeing Caroline Ryder in the new Empire Race. That's the car that son Matthew currently holds fastest qualifying time.
Yeah, it's the second of those Empire Race to break cover, of course. The original being the Clive Austin one that ran without the under tray and the barge boards and all the rest of it. Ran with a very truncated tail for the first season. Get some time on the chassis. Right now, Les Much, number 9 last season. Hasn't made many appearances this year to defend his number 9. There's the former DAC, independent rear suspension, Rover V6 engine driver from the past. It's one of the half dozen or so GWR Raptors that's been built by Graham White, journey up at Bankery, just inland from Aberdeen.
Well, he's got to beat 59.20 to get into the runoff at this stage. Still very early stages though.
Now Zach Zammit, he did get back to his car, so
Les
here he
Much
is.
up into museum, spins and ends up with the rear wheels on the grass, pointing the wrong way, and that's going to be a failed run for number 9.
Yeah, and a red flag for Zach Zammit. Has Zach seen the flags? Yes,
And
he
Les
has.
patiently waiting for some marshal support to help him turn and probably point back down the hill.
So if you do...
No reverse on these single-seaters with the Hayabusa engines. So Marshall's heading down to Les.
conditions making themselves known really this point of the day. If you do miss the red flags as you come down into Triangle, immediately you turn right. There's a very bright pair of LED traffic lights that are controlled by the marshalling team here below us at the marshal's post, and you can't really miss those at all.
And the marshals, in fact, are actually turning leads round. He kept the engine running, and he's going to drive through to the finish, but it's still a failed run.
Yeah, he's had assistance.
The clock is still ticking down, and it will record a time, but inconsequential, really.
Yeah, one marshal at each post is a judge of fact, of course, so they say he's had assistance, and it's a failed run. Now, very, very importantly, for all of you folks who like this, like an ice cream on a cold day, the ice cream van has just arrived, and within about 5 minutes' time it'll be set up, so the Branley family will be ecstatic to hear that. And I'll then trot out my old story about, heard the tale of the ice cream man who parks at the top of Ilkley Moor, decided one Boxing Day, it was such a beautiful day, he'd take the van up there and see if he could find the occasional punter. And it was his best ever day for trade, would you believe, on a Boxing Day. The weather was so good, everybody turned out in their cars to go and take in the view and walk the hill. So go and get yourself an ice cream from our regular guy here. I guess Kevin Aitchison is probably watching a rugby match, seeing as he's a Kiwi, so he's not here this weekend. But he sent his mate instead. Right, back in action. So it is now Caroline Ryder, as Jerry absolutely correctly predicted. We say a chassis we've seen many times before in the hands of Simon Fido, but these days with the Ryder's own 1500cc engine. Here comes Caroline now.
Caroline, daughter of former British sprint champion Ken Ayres, of course.
And of course her son Matt's godmother is Sue Young, of course. So it's the hill climbers, they all keep it in the family, don't they? Right, Zach Zammit restarts. Caroline up with Steve.
Caroline Ryder on her first event with the Empire Race up into Museum.
Zach Zammit nearly a yard out of line coming out of Vecisello. Very spectacular. Einan Price next. Don't blink if it's Einan on the hill. He'll be quick in the down.
Caroline Ryder, 69.05. This is Zach Zammit into Fallow. Slithers round, holds the slide beautifully, up into Museum.
And Einan Price is the man who always used to...
up and down the gearbox. And over the finish, 51.53.
I bet you Arne Price has been doing a rain dance down in the paddock. He loves it when it's wet. That's when he won championship rounds. Dave Warburton next.
Arne Price, big cut at fallow.
Meanwhile, that was a great chance from Zach Zandt. Goes top qualifier by about 3.5 seconds.
Just about got it round Museum and over the finish, 53.43.
So he goes second in qualifying.
Next one, Dave Warburton, then Lee Griffiths. Yet to reach us, but he is on the hill. OMS back to a normally aspirated engine this season.
David Warburton into fallow.
Qualified top at Boone last weekend at the first run off.
Bit wayward on the exit of Museum. David Warburton, 54.87. Third.
So Lee Griffiths has passed out of our sight. Next, Ian Tucker. Car number 130. Running in the up to 2 litre normally aspirated class.
Lee Griffiths with the OMS 25 with the oversized Hayabusa engine. Heads to the finish line and it's a 55.61.
Yeah, and that's only good enough for ninth position. In Tucker next is Paul Tinsley. He's not registered for the championship, and this is his first event after many, 2 or 3 years away. Paul, regular at Loton. This is a car with a long history. It's an ex-Allan Warburton and Paul Haynes car at one point, of course.
Ian Tucker taking it very steadily on intermediate through the finish, 72.32.
Richard Summers in danger of losing his qualification position. The next driver to go quicker than his 56.97. Here comes
Paul
John
Tinsley in the Zalara Vauxhall through Museum Bend.
So only one runner in this 2 litre.
Over the finish, 66.75 for Paul Tinsley.
And only one runner in this class K1 up to 2 litre normally aspirated class soon qualified for the British Championship. That will be Jonathan Varley at the end of the class. Here's George Bleasdale in just about the oldest unmodified Pilbeam MP88 in existence. In fact, we've got Lee Griffiths
John
in that
Cockrell
car.
heading to the finish with the MP82 and it's the 63.38.
Mike Begonning next.
3 runners in the 2 litre class. In fact, Lee Griffiths is in 9th place, and we've got the XC, Jonathan Varley and Andy Bougourd.
Oh yeah, of course, yes, I'm misreading my columns here.
George Bleasdale with the Pilbeam MP88 with the 2 litre Rover V6. Heads over the finish and it's a 64.99 for George.
Mike Tregonning up with you. Here's Andy Bougourd. Any moment now. Guernsey man.
Mike Tregonning in the Duratec powered MP88. Past the commentary box. Charges over the finish. 57.77. Goes into 2nd place.
Remember Andy Bougourd helping out Martin Groves and Paul Ransom in the paddock at Gerston Down on a number of occasions. Joshua Moss next. Joshua Midland Championship only registered.
And yes, Mr. Bougourd has been going bubble jumping on the outside of fallow. Gets it back on track eventually. Takes the 4th PT over the finish line, 62.58.
Yeah, we still didn't qualify him, sadly. That one got away from Andy. Next along, here's Terry Davis. He's Reynard with Terry's own 2 litre engine place comes through Yamaha
Joshua
bike
Moss
engine.
in the 1999 Formula 3 Dallara over the finish, 57.47. And he now slots into second behind Lee Griffiths.
Here's Tim Elmer. Any moment now. Yeah, here we are. And another Dallara with the Terry Davis V8 in the back.
And Terry Davis spun off on the infield with the Reynard. He got round Fallible all right, but when he touched the accelerator, the car snapped left. And he's come to a halt and perfectly okay, but obviously on wet grass he's not going to go anywhere.
So Tim Elmer red flagged it just at post 4, which is keeper's exit. Gives a chance just to keep you updated with the races. Qualifying situation is Zach Zammit, who's fastest qualifier at the moment on 51.53, ahead of Inan Price, David Warburton, Matt Ryder, Jack Cottrell, David Tatham, Darren Gumbley, Harry Pick, Lee Griffiths, Debbie Dunbar, Olivia Cooper, and in the number 12 spot at the moment on 56.97 it's Richard Summers. Yeah, they haven't got Lee Griffiths. Still 23 runners still to bid for a qualifying place.
So Terry Davis driving to the top of the hill, car not damaged at all, just needed extricating off the wet grass.
I'm sure it's very, very slippery up there, Steve. A bit of assistance to Tim Elmer to get over that little top of the rise and back down into the paddock for a restart. Terry Davis, yes, he may have driven to the finish, but it was a fail because it's all 4 wheels off and assisted. There also, we haven't seen any issues with this, so I'm maybe calling in the commentator's kiss of doom by mentioning the penalty system here. If you dislodge one of those bendy flip-flop bollards and dislodge it completely, therefore there has to be a red flag because the bollard's on the track, and also the track has to be the same for everybody. So if you do that, you will get a penalty, which will show up on our screen. Right, Tim Davis is away. Car number 139. Still a force to be reckoned with after 45 years of hill climbing. Tim Davis, if you make any slip-ups in the 2 litre class, he's likely to be the one that will go quicker than you. Very experienced and relatively safe pair of hands. safe as you can be when you're hill climbing, of course. Andrew Henson next in the Gould Delara. Second season in this car for Andrew and his...
Tim Davies up into museum. And over the finish, 57.67. Andrew Henson in the Gould Delara up into museum. And through to the finish, 58.51.
And now here comes Jonathan Varley in the Cosworth Proud Predator. Second season in this car, comes to the end of his full second season. Quite a success, this Predator, with just the 2-litre 4-cylinder in it. Tim Elmer's away from the start line. Restarting after being red flagged.
Jonathan Farley, super smooth through the top part of the hill, over the finish, 55.98, locked into second place, and that might be just enough to win the British Leaders class.
Qualifies him also in 10th position for our runoff, but still quite a few yet to come. And here's Sue Young in the Gould GR51 Judd.
Tim Elmer passed the commentary box on his rerun in the Delara, 57.59.
Sue Young, former ladies record holder here at Loton, still holds the ladies record at Shelsley Wharf. I think she's lost every other single one now to various of the more up-to-date ladies. Do a couple of seasons out of the car, so only late in this season we'll be seeing them for the first time this year. Bernie Kevill now in the OMS V8. Shares with Simon Andrews.
Sue Young just a run to the finish in the GR51, and it's the 64.52 for Sue Young.
You've got Bernie Kevill. We're looking out for Andy Coley now, one of the two Coley brothers who campaigned this Gould V6 since new, back in 2005.
Bernie Kevill in the OMS 28 TKD SV8 heads to the finish, and he stops the clock 56.02.
Andy Coley now with us. Cosworth V6 whining away in the back of the Gould. Sandra Tomlin next. Sandra in the big Peel Beam. Judd EV engine in the back of this car. And Sandra, she's another former ladies record holder here and elsewhere.
Andy Coley charging towards the finish in the Gould, 57.79.
Won't qualify him, sadly. Sandra Tomlin. With you, Steve. He is registered for the British Championship, that's alone.
Sandra Tomlin in the Pilbeam MP97, past the commentary box and heading through the finish. It's a 61.94 for Sandra.
Right now, Lindsay Summers. The car in which Debbie Dunbar holds the Latest record here at Loton, took that back. Of course, it's completely unawares. That's one of the August meetings here at Loton.
Kevill is currently 12th fastest qualifier on 56.18, so that's the time that Lindsay is trying to beat to, at this stage, get into the run-on.
And Lindsay also took an against all odds best time of the day at Chelsea Walsh last Sunday, when she put the extra effort in the wet and did it. A superb run.
Lindsay Summers in the Cosworth V6 powered Firestorm, charging up to the finish line, and it's a 57.28.
Doesn't qualify her, sadly. Should have a couple of other cars to complete this batch. Yeah, Tom New now, number 903, Tom New, sharing Wallace Mingus' championship winning car. A little bonus for Tom, a run out. He has driven the car once before at a private test day. I think he told me it was Knock Hill. Yeah, Knock Hill, when there was a hill time there. Had a private test run. First competition run in the car now. I'm sure Wallace is interested in Tom's summary of the car. He's up there with Steve.
Tom New, safely through fallow, popping and banging as he goes into museum. The Gould GR59 rumbles its way over the finishing line, stops the clocks on 57.16.
That should be.
And that is the end of the match.
Yeah, oh yes, I can see the marshal here going to open the paddock gate. Back from the track down into the paddock, so we'll have a quick look at some class positions now. So, class J2, that is 1600cc racing car, so 1100 to 1600cc. And these are all naturally aspirated. And third position, number 127, David Warburton, 54.87. And the king of the wet conditions, number 126, Arnon Price in second place, 53.43. Leading the way, Zach Zammit proving that he may come from a very hot, dry climate down in Malta, but he mastered the damp conditions here at Loton. He's number 125. He did a 51.53 to currently be our fastest top 12 qualifier. Go and have a look at the up to 2 litre normally aspirated cars. So we have got Lee Griffiths slotted into the right class here. And the 3-2-1 here is Joshua Moss in the Delara. Third place, number 136, Joshua Moss, 57.47. Second place, number 141, Jonathan Varley in the GWR Raptor, 55.98. And Lee Griffiths there, late entry, number 129, carrying the number from another class. Lee Griffiths taking the lead there with a 55.61. And we've not seen anybody from the over 2 litre forced induction class, and not enough. Well, I can tell you that we have taken 6 runners in the over 2 litre class, which is very heavily subscribed this weekend. And the third fastest there, Lindsay Summers, at the moment, of course, with a number of very quick runners yet to come. Lindsay Summers in third, car number 907, 57.28. Number 903, Tom New, second, 57.16. At this stage, can't qualify for a run-off, not registered, as far as we're aware. And number 853, Bernie Kevill in the lead there, 56.02 in the OMS, powered by the Terry Davis Suzuki-based V8. That's all we've got for you just for the moment, folks.
easier, no.
Right, well, the last car down the hill, Jonathan Varley in the GWR Predator. Currently in second place in the class for 2 litres, but I think that might be enough points for him to move up to third overall in the British Leaders' Championship. Also, very nice to see a lot more spectators now at the top of the hill, braving the elements. We also have a group of Scottish fans up here.
Right, so Debbie Dunbar currently our last qualifier on a 56.18, so anybody who goes quicker than that will drop into a qualification slot. And this batch is yeah, still got 18 to run, as Jerry says, and virtually everybody in this final batch, bar the last runner, potential qualifiers. Yeah, that's right, yes, 18 of them. And 19 runners in this batch, the last one being number 863, who is Joe Mackerel in the historic class, or classic class, I should say. So looking out for number 144. Should be Pete Tatham. No Ben Stevenson in this class, of course. He withdrew. We only just found out this week that he was in a his Evo 2 had been supercharged. Last time we encountered Ben, he was using an 1100 car, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Because we've not seen him before this season in the Midlands, Jerry. Yeah. Oh yeah, registered for the championship in the 1300 car, but not seen by us. Right, Pete Tatham is away from the start line now in the S25 that served Annie Macbeth well for a number of years. And he's given up the hill climbing game now. And here's Pete. Does press on very hard in this car, sometimes overcooks it more than a little. Only a grunt from the engine in this car with the supercharger. Always there or thereabouts in this class. Up there we're seeing Kelvin Broad next in the supercharged Force TA.
Pete Tatham in the RMS 25, 1.3 litre supercharged higher booster, heading to the finish, and it's a 58.04.
Here's Kelvin Broad. That's 58.04. He isn't going to qualify, Pete. Kelvin Broad next to have a shot at it. Simon Moyes, supercharged Gould GR59.
Kelvin Broad in the Force TA into and out of museum. And Kelvin through the finish, 56.09.
And the Simon Moyes Gould was the first of these GR59s to break cover some 7 years ago now. It's quite a while. In fact, the most visible one was the original Formula E prototype, which was based on one of these. They've actually made the race series, of course. Richard Spedding next, front runner, not just in this 2 litre forced induction class, but in the British Championship itself. Here he comes now.
Simon Moyes very slow through Fallow, up into museum. Back on the power, and over the finish. 62.81.
Isn't going, no qualification. Kelvin Broad qualified, but in last position.
Here comes Richard Spedding in the GWR Raptor 2. Big cut at Fallow. Into and out of museum. And through the finish, 54.64.
Yeah, third fastest. Behind Zach Zammit and Arnon Price. Conditions causing some trouble. So Kelvin Broad qualified and then disappeared straight out again. So Bernie Kevill on his 56.02 is currently in 12th position. After Richard Spedding we should see number 148, Paul Haines. Will be the last runner in this up to 2 litre forced induction class. And Paul's car, the second of the GR59s to break cover in hill climbing, is with a turbocharged engine, so it sounds very, very different to the Moyes car and to the Warburton 1600cc car. Very, very different sound to it. Has not been an easy ride for Paul over the last few seasons. His car has proved fairly troublesome. Some of the others haven't, as this one has. Sadly, engine systems usually the difficulty. And he is away from the start line. 2.64, so the Auto 64s, if you can do a 2.3, you're doing really well in these conditions. Must be like the glass down there, I think. Here's Paul now. Very, very characteristic burbling on the overrun. And Paul Haines is Gould. The only one that makes that strange noise. Matthew Ryder, now Matt Ryder. Right, this is going to be interesting now. We've got 2 potential qualifiers here. Same driver in 2 cars.
Paul Haines, the Farnham Flyer in the Gould GR59. Heads up towards the top part of the hill and over the finish, 56.49.
56.49 will put him not qualifying. Okay. Let's see what Matt Ryder can do. He'll be with you any moment. Steve. Simon Andrews next.
Matt Ryder in the Gould GR51 into and out of museum, charging up towards the finish and through it in 57.13.
Non-qualifier. Now, if Kelvin Broad, not Kelvin Broad, so if Simon Andrews here sets the qualification time, he'll push his own co-driver, Bernie Kevill, out of the number 12 slot. Let's wait and see. He'll be with you in any moment.
Simon Andrews up into Museum Bend. Nice steady run. And over the finish, 56.97.
No qualification for Simon Andrews, so Bernie Kevill still in the number 12 slot. Now Graham Wynn, through him and his wife Jenny's Wynn Development firm, co-sponsors of the Hill Climb Championship this season. New for this season too, it's called GR59 with the Judd DB4 V8 in the back, so the DB4 stands for 4 litres. So we're getting right, quite interesting now. With you need to be in the low 55s to get in now, by the looks of it.
Graham Wynn up into Museum with the GR59J, heading to the finish and through it in 53.97.
Well, for a split second, Mark Coley's name came up on the screen, then disappeared again. So, yeah, that qualifies Graham Wynn in 5th position. So Bernie Kevill, outski, as they might say in Glasgow. The white OMS V8 won't be appearing in this runoff. All gone very dank and dark out there again. No, Mark Coley, oh right, Mark Coley is now away from the start. Must have been a false start there for a split second. And now Mark Coley, as the drizzle falls again, this is bound to have some effect. Interesting to see how much of the rain our viewers around the globe can see. Oh, this is fairly heavy. Yeah, this is not a light. This is going to make life very interesting indeed.
Mark Coley up into Museum with the GR55, Cosworth V6 powered, and over the finishing line, 56.34.
Non-qualifier.
Well, this rain just what Zach Zammy's ordered. He's currently fastest on 51.53. Can anybody beat that time in these conditions?
It's going to be tricky. And they're continuing to come out. Here's Sean Gould, having so much success this season in the works. Gould GR59 Judd. Oh, and he's 2.24 away from the line. That's the fastest that I can see on the screen at this stage. And he tends to like it damp. He used to do very well in the 1600 GR59. He gets himself around Triangle. And he's away at the 24.68 mark from Triangle and keepers 34 seconds. Slower than Mark Coley and Graham Wynn.
Sean Gould up into Museum, and the back end rotates, and he comes to a halt. No problems whatsoever, just rolled harmlessly back onto the grass.
Just that little push too far, I guess.
Stalled, and that's the end of the run for Sean Gould.
And he was slower at the Museum trap than Mark Coley, Graham Wynn, Simon Andrews, Paul Hames, Richard Spedding. Looks like this could be a Spedding Price, a Zammit, jamboree if we're not too careful, doesn't it, Jerry?
Yeah, it certainly does. Just looking to see who we've got left. Well, obviously all the top runners, the ones with the numbers on the cars, the top 10 numbers, so the ones that are left. Oliver Tomlin, not registered, is next to run.
So if we look at the splits, we can see that Sean was losing time by the yard almost. Once he left keepers, he was almost 2 seconds slower than Mark Coley and 3 seconds slower than Graham Wynne. So he was really up against it in the wet up there.
Providing the remaining runners can qualify, then of course it's down to the runoff where they all have a level playing field, theoretically. And they're going to need something in the 55-second bracket.
It's a funny old phrase to use when hill climbing, isn't it? I love that. Yeah.
Well, numbers 6 to 12 are all in the 55-second bracket at the moment. Yeah. And Zach Zammett's leading the way on 51. I don't think anybody's going to get down to that sort of time, but a mid to low 55 would probably be enough to get in.
Looks like Sean's he's being sent down, Steve.
Sean has been turned around, pushed down from Museum towards Fallow.
Yeah, the paddock
now being allowed to coast down the hill back to the paddock. So
yeah, the paddock gate's being opened. Paddock
regains the paddock and then we'll be back underway again.
Yeah, paddock gate just being. I can hear the squeaky catch on the gate there with the big coil spring. As we slide the bolt back, it makes a sound like a tortured cat. You can hear it from yards away. Just like we could hear. I wonder what James Baxter will think of all of this, because the language yesterday when he went off at Museum late on in the day, apparently it's all picked up on his in-car camera as well. We could hear it quite clearly on the other side of the track. The engine stopped dead as he coasted at not particularly high speed into the tyre wall, and there was this torrent of abuse.
In pure Yorkshire, of course.
Pure Yorkshire, yeah. But the car was going back together all right last night, which was good. I stopped a very, very quick word with him, and he confirmed that, the in-car had picked up everything he said, and is X-rated, I believe, not for public consumption. But that shows the passion that people have, and of course James Baxter, an interesting character, because he holds records in Vintage Sports Car Club meetings in a number of cars, and he used to campaign that Fraser Nash Alvis single-seater that looks from a long distance, you could say it almost looks like an ERA, but of course it's chain-driven.
And of course he has driven ERAs, very successful.
Yes, yeah, very successful proper vintage car restorer, vintage of Fraser, chucked around with gay abandon. Speaking of vintage drivers, here's Ollie Tomlin on the hill, and not registered for any championship that we're aware of.
Not a vintage driver, of course. He does drive his grandfather's Chapman Mercury, Phil Chapman built that horse.
And they've got
early 50s.
What's the other one with the Jaguar engine in? Is it an Alta Jaguar or something like that? Sports car? He's out to the Delahaye as well.
Oh, yeah.
So they've got all sorts of classics and post-vintages in their family. And Ollie Tomlin well on his way. Chapman Mercury, one of the most famous of all the hill climb sports car specials. Ollie approaching the finish now.
Oliver Tomlin up into Museum with the Pilbeam MP97. 4 litre Judd V8 propels him over the finishing line, and it's a 59.57.
It wouldn't have qualified him even if he was registered. Now here's Scott Moran, carries the number 10 on the car.
So all these remaining drivers are going to need something like a low 55 if they're all going to get in.
Well, Scott's a very, very experienced wet track driver. He's one who deals in the averages game, and the aim will be to qualify and then do it in the run-off if he can. It's going to be tricky.
He's local here, of course. He holds the outright record here.
Yeah, and the class as
Scott
well.
Moran out of Fallow up to Museum.
Oh, not
as always, cool, calm, collected, and over the finish, 53.72.
Yeah, slots him in third fastest time. That's the way to do it, is a storming time to museum of 45.74.
6 times British champion, of course.
Master of clutch control too, of course. He was encouraged to learn by Roy Lane all those years ago. And here's a young man on a mission, that's Alex Summers. We know he can score in the West. He won at Chelsea Walsh years ago in his little DJ. His first ever championship round victory in the soaking wet, much wetter than it is today.
Alex Summers up into the museum in the DJ Firestorm. And again, looking super smooth, and over the finish, 52.54.
Second fastest. That's the way to do it. You would put money on him in the wet. You really would. You see, he's the young master of it. Here's Dave Uren. See what Dave can do. Looking for that qualification slot. There's just 3 more cars to run after him.
Dave Uren into Museum Bend with the GR55B. A little bit of a hesitation as he heads to the finish. 56.28.
Fails to qualify. Now you could see his time to triangle wasn't particularly good, although his loggerhead time was very good. So it all got away from him after loggerheads. Wallace Mingus, champion-elect on the hill. Last time today is the last time he'll carry the number 3 on the card. It'll be number 1 next season. And hooks the line at triangle. Oh, that's a nice line through keepers as well. And he's away, he's up that not very cedar straight. Oh, plenty of cedar, but not straight.
Wallace Mingus into Fallow. Very quick approach, big cut on the inside, up into Museum already. This looks quick.
Great time at Museum, Steve.
Heading for the finish, and through the finish, 51.05.
Quickest qualifier. That's why he's champ. Right, Will Hall next. Will he get beyond his namesake of Hall, which he didn't yesterday? Nemesis. Slower than Wallace at loggerheads by half a second. Looking fairly steady by Will's standards, because the car is very, very tail happy, this car, particularly in these conditions. Carole time at triangle though. Not too bad at keepers either.
Will Hall into Fallow. Up to Museum already.
And the last runner.
Stopping and banging his way to the finish. And stops the clocks 53.62.
4th fastest behind Arnon Price and ahead of Scott Moran. Just Trevor Willis now. We know he's a master of the wet conditions. I've been over happy with this car this season since the new gearbox over the winter.
Dave Tatham will be watching the clocks to see if he gets knocked out of his first ever run-off by the outgoing champion.
And Trevor, slight hesitation going into Fallow, up into Museum. This is going to be touch and go. And Trevor over the finish, 54.38.
That slots him in 7th position, just between Scott Moran and Richard Spedding. Here's Joe Mackerel on the hill, bringing this back to an end.
So Joe Mackerel in the Tiga SF83 runs a 1.6 litre Peugeot engine, This car was originally a Formula Ford 2000 chassis. And Joe Mackerel heading over the finish. Stops the clocks 70.23. That should be, I believe, the end of the match.
Yeah, we'll go back and have a look through the class positions in the classes we've seen so far. So, well, it's just class K2 and L that we can give you now. So, the class K2 is the forced induction 2 litre category, so these are all cars of around 1300cc. There are supercharged or turbocharged. Third place at the moment, 1484 Hames, did a 56.49 in the Gould. Second place, 145 Kelvin Broad, 56.09 in the Force TA. And leading the way, number 5, Richard Spedding, as you might expect, 54.64 in the GWR Raptor. In Class L, the 3-2-1 here is that number 2, Will Hall, is third, 53.62. Alex Summers, with that storming run in the wet, 52.54. But right at the top, our champion-elect, Wallace Mineeff, number 3, 51.05. Absolutely sensational time in these road conditions. So we'll be confirming in a few moments' time the run-off. I'm not sure we need to speak to the championship coordinator. If our manual, Jerry's manual blocks and the screen, run-off screen coincide, we can be fairly confident we have it right. Bill Pardo's got my phone number, so he can ring me if I get this wrong. I doubt we have. So it's looking like this. That it will be, the running order is no dual drivers. Jack Cottrell only qualified once in the smaller car. So it will be 106, Jack Cottrell, then 824, Matt Ryder, the one that could have run 2 cars, of course. Then number 127, Dave Warburton. Number 5, Rich Spedding. Number 1, Trevor Willis. 154, Graham Wynne. He's bound to be pleased with that time in the wet. Number 10, Scott Moran. 2, Will Hall. 126, Einan Price. 7, Alex Summers. 125, Zach Zammit. And number 3, Wallace Mineeff. 51.05, our best qualifier.
And the significant thing about this, of course, Eddie, is that with Dave Uren not qualifying, although Richard Spedding qualified 9th, that does give him an outside chance of possibly getting in touch with Dave Uren for 3rd place on the championship table.
Yeah.
It's probably about the only one of the front runners that's going to change,
and
could possibly change.
Just as a by the way, Alex Summers has now qualified for 200 British Championship runoffs. He was on 199. Wallace Mineeff now on 305 qualifications for a British Championship runoff. I'm only going to give you the round figures once. Well, Dave Uren was looking to qualify for his 180th, but he hasn't. So he's still on 179, but he's got the chance to make amends later on this afternoon. So all building up to a very interesting, partly wet-affected runoff. It appears it's very hard to tell from where we are as to what conditions it's doing because of the overhanging eaves on the commentary box. You can't quite see. There's some bright patches over in Welsh Wales, somewhere over Creggan. So lots of usual suspects milling around within our line of sight. Don't forget the caterers. Be ready to serve you lunch once the run-off is over. Hopefully the bar will be open by the end of the lunch period. And Don't forget the... Who can forget the ice cream man? I'll give him enough. I'm told that I am their sales manager, of course, sales director, by a couple of the ice cream people, because I always remind people. So it is still drizzling, isn't it? Yeah, as I say, you can't really tell where we are unless you look against a certain coloured, greenish coloured background.
Right, coming down the hill last of the cars is number 1, Mr. Willis.
Right, Trevor Willis, yeah, because they fitted a Sadev gearbox over the winter to this car. Great hopes of it, but he's not really got on too well with the car this year. It's not been the Trevor we know, and he hasn't looked quite as scary as he used to in the days when he first had the OMS 2000V, the Vauxhall engine in it. That's when he got his first number, wasn't it? A number 5, as I recall. We go back far enough, and that's where he coined the name with many of our Midlands marshals, some of whom are here today, of Scary Trevor. And you had to sort of jump aside when he was heading towards the bend you were marshalling at. You never quite knew where he was going to end up. It was either trees or trophies back then, but a lot steadier these days. Not looking quite as dynamic as he did, sadly. But it's all go for Wallace Mingus, our quickest qualifier. Zach Zammit, best ever qualification position, although maybe a little bit wet affected. Alex Summers doing an absolutely fabulous job there to qualify 3rd fastest. I'm just trying to stop Jerry Fetch's his notepad off the... pull that off the counter there, Jerry. You've got the mic lead under your elbow. Hey, Jerry's gone up market. He's got a proper barber jacket this time. You'll be on the MAC board before you know it. And almost pink trousers as well. Almost, but not quite. You couldn't quite do that, could you?
No, not quite. No, I couldn't do that.
So we've just got 4 runners we hope to come before our run-off. They might have to be given a bit of a countdown. So I'll go through that in more detail. Now, I'm pretty sure we've got everything right. Phil Fisher is away from the start line, so we'll hold off on that until after these last few cars. Phil Fisher in the Mallock. Still lots and lots of these Mallocks racing on the circuit in classic Clubman. Used to be dozens and dozens. Yeah, it used to be sort of, you get a half a dozen or more of these at the hill climb meeting in the past. Therefore, they created this hill climb super sports class where you've got the pushrod Ford engine. You can also have a 2-litre Vauxhall engine as well. GM XE engine. Nigel White will be next. Steve will tell us what Phil Fisher's doing.
So Phil Fisher out of Fallow in the Michael Evans U2 Mallock. Up and over the crest, and Phil through the finish, 68.39.
Nigel White, steady as she goes, and a little grab 'em. You almost sit on top of this car rather than in it, really. A friend of mine calls he doesn't really understand racing, calls them cigar cars, because they do look a bit of a cigar shape, don't they?
Nigel White up into Fallow now with his absolutely glorious Brabham BT21B. Ex-Formula 3 car, so it will run the 1-litre Ford Screamer engine, but now has this Ford Lotus twin cam unit. And Nigel over the finish, 73.37.
Stuart Ridge really slithered it down into Triangle Bend, and the back end kicked out as he left it. So this is
Stuart Ridge up into Fallow already with the Pilbeam MP53. 2.8 litre Hart engine. Slight fluff gear change as he heads for the finish. Stops the clocks 61.30 for Stuart Ridge.
Robin Johnson now. Just one runner after Robin. No, we've seen him. Stuart's gone up before Robin, of course. So Robin will be the last runner in this batch. All systems go for a run-off quite soon. Here's Robin now. Sharing the car these days with Joe Mackerel. He used to share it with the late and sadly missed Stuart Bullis, of course. Side brightening up over in, if you can see it, you can't see it, over to the west.
Robin Johnson up into fallow with the Tiger SF83. Robin, of course, star of Top Gear. Heading up towards the finish line. Robin Johnson records a 69.7. And that is the end of the batch.
Great stuff. Good that. So we'll just talk about their positions. Only a very small number of cars in class. So Phil Fisher and Nigel White in class M. So Phil Fisher leading the way, 68.39. And in class N, the sports racing and racing cars.
Yes, see you, John. Have a good day.
From 72 to 85, still got your mic on, Steve. Stuart Ridge leading the way there from Robin Johnson. And we'll go, Jerry will talk you through with the qualifications. So I've asked Jerry to talk you through for your programme. If you're a habitual programme keeper, page 32 is the place to write it in the grid on your left. And I'll hand over to Jerry, who'll give you the running order and the qualification times too.
Thanks, Eddie. Well, we'll just run through those. As Eddie said, page 32 is the place to put it. If you can find a space to write in the qualifying time, we'll give you that as well. But first to go will be number 106, Jack Cottrell, qualified on the 55.06. Then 824, Matt Ryder, qualified on 55 seconds exactly. 127, Dave Warburton, 54.87. Number 5, Richard Spedding, 54.64. Number 1, Trevor Willis, qualified on 54.38. 154, Graham Wynn, 53.97. Number 10, Scott Moran, qualified on 53.72. Number 2, Will Hall, 53.62. 126, Einan Price, 53.43. Number 7, Alex Summers, 52.54. 125, Zach Zammit, 51.53. And last to run, number 3, Wallace Mingies, qualified on 51.05. So those, just those numbers again, in case you missed them. It's 106, 824, 127, 5, 1, 154, 10, 2, 1, 2, 6, 7, 1, 2, 5, and 3. So no double-driven cars in this runoff. They'll all take the 12 runs one after the other, starting with Jack Cottrell. Matt Ryder, great achievement to get the new car to the Ryder family into the runoff, first time of asking. David Warburton, top qualifier in the dry at Doon a couple of weekends ago. But of course conditions very variable in fact during qualifying this time. Richard Spedding next up. Well, he'll be trying to get the best score he can to try and possibly get on terms with Dave Uren in the championship table. And Dave unfortunately failed to qualify. Trevor Willis down in 8th qualifying place there. Ahead of Graham Wynne, a very good qualifying position for the championship co-sponsor in 7th place. Scott Moran, the wily old fox, as I think they used to call Fangio. You know, Fangio won 5 World Championships, and Scott Moran won 6 British Hill Climb Championships.
Scott Moran is still younger at this stage than Fangio was when he won his first championship.
Yes,
by a couple of years, maybe
yes,
3 years.
Yeah, only one other person has won 6 championships, of course, and that was Tony Marsh. But Scott.
There were a lot less rounds in those days.
Oh, there were far less rounds in those days, yes.
And no actual runoffs per se.
But
back
Scott,
in the 50s.
No, 59 that started. But Scott, no real ambition to beat Tony's record, I don't think. Since he won his 6th championship, he's just done sort of part-time seasons. But 4th fastest qualifier ahead of Scott, Ivan Price, the Rain Master. And made history by being the first motorcycle engine car for 50 years to win a British Hill Climb round.
And the first of the modern motorcycle engine cars.
Yeah, yes,
those Jap engines hadn't been fitted in a road-going motorbike since about 1939.
Well, the record that he broke was Tico Martini's, which was a Triumph engine in 19...
But those the V-twin Japs, if you go back, were...
if you go right back, yes.
They were last used in Brough Superiors in 1939. They hadn't appeared in a road bike after the Second World War.
Yeah, so Ivan Price in 4th fastest qualifier. 3rd fastest, Alex Summers, going great guns as ever. Really consistent year to finish 2nd in the championship behind Wallace Mingus. Zach Zammit, great qualifying position for him, 2nd. I mean, he did have slight advantage of the weather, and Wallace Mingus, of course, qualified in the wet even quicker by half a second to go top. Tremendous 51.05, which is the fastest time of the day we've seen so far, but we'll expect to see times improve as the weather does. We can actually see a little bit of blue sky over to our left.
But just to fill in a couple of little facts from my friend that can see up to Hall, which we can't, is that Sean Gould briefly looked like he was going straight on at Hall. That's where his time started to slip away. Of course, then he overcooked it at the top of the hill. And Mark Coley, I said I'd seen his name briefly on the screen. It was that he'd gone over the start line, and but the rear wheels hadn't crossed the line. Right, here's the Rybrook Parade. So you've got the BMW 5 Series, the brand new. Here, this second car with the XPM reg, it's a new front-wheel drive BMW 1 Class. There's a Mini Country, Mini Estate there, 5-door, and a demo Mini John Cooper Works. And here's the 8 Series convertible. Doesn't it look aggressive from the front? And a BMW i8, of course, the supercar, which I understand will go out of production next year. It's hard to believe that hasn't been the success they were expecting. I'm sure Jaguar wish that they could do those sort of numbers with some of their cars. But no, the i8 will go out of production. I've driven several i3s, but never an i8. Would love to have a go in one. Of course, one has competed before the effective blanket ban on electric cars from what was then the MSA. David Finley, of course, competed in an i8 at Chelsea Wolves about 3 years ago now. But they will have to, the MSUK are really going to have to work hard to do something about overcoming the issues and the rules that they published about electric, either hybrid or battery-powered vehicles. They're going to have to do something about that very, very quickly. So the Rybrook people, we really do thank them this weekend for their super sponsorship. They've had a nice display here. That's their full complement of cars on the hill. And they'll be pleased to talk to you. The BMW, the new 1 Series, which I understand has some commonality with the X2. I think there will be, the 1 Series, I believe, will have an all-wheel drive variant available in certain marketplaces. No manuals, all autos, of course. They tend to, BMW still use lots of ZF transmissions in their automatic cars. They're conventional torque converter style lock-up torque converter cars. So they'd love to talk to you about that new 2 Series, which certainly looks good. First mainstream production recent BMW with front-wheel drive. Other than that, rather tall 2 Series MPV. I don't think sells all that many. I've certainly only ever seen 1 or 2 over here. But the 2 Series, the new 1 Series, will be a proper mainstream, massive volume car for them. So, Rybrook bound to be pleased with their showing here this weekend. We look forward to welcoming them back sometime in the future. People will be beginning to flock to the fence soon for our first of 2 British runoffs today. Around 33 of the championship, this one. And 34 will be just before we all go home this evening.
The BMW's heading back down the hill. Clerk of the course trailing behind. So, as soon as they are safely back in the paddock, we should be on countdown for the top 12 runoff, first of the day.
Yeah. Oh, and I noticed the i8 is the Roadster, so it's got effectively a Targa top on it. Small 3-cylinder engine in the middle of those, similar to the engine in the i3. i3 available as a range extender hybrid or a pure battery electric, BEV battery electric vehicle. You see the bonnet of the course car Mini John Cooper Works. It's got that replica Rally Monte Carlo bonnet with the spoof registration number of the Paddy Hopkirk Mini on it in the traditional Abingdon colours of, not Abingdon, sorry, BMC Rally Team colours, traditional colours, white roof over red. I did meet Paddy Hopkirk under 2 years ago, and He's still quite spry for his age, whatever the age is, but he's no spring chicken. Still going, still very sharp-minded. Great to have a 10-minute conversation with him over a drink down at the Royal Automobile Club. And of course that's where Wallace, this is where Wallace finds the joys of being a British champion under NSUK rules, is that you get invited to the Night of the Champions, which takes place usually the weekend, or the last weekend in January, at the RAC Club in Pall Mall in London. Very prestigious place to hold it. And the bar's free. You'll be pleased there. Wallace, you'll love that. Right, car will be coming to the line any moment now. That's going to be number 824, Matt Ryder.
First one's going to be, in fact, 106, Jack Cottrell.
I beg his pardon. Jack Cottrell, yeah.
It's Jack's...
Jerry's already straining at the bit here.
Well, it's Jack's first British Championship runoff, so he's going to be very pleased about that. First chance to get a score on the board. Qualified 12th on 55.06.
You know, it's serious if the club stewards come out to view the proceedings.
And Jack, of course, driving one of several 1100s in the runoff. Actually, there's not that many, there's more 1600s probably this time.
Good grief, Jerry, it's sunny. The sun's come out.
It's the only 1100 in the runoff. In fact, yes, Jack's Sport Suzuki P2.
Bit of an uphill battle for him, but I'm sure he'll be up for it.
Leading the 1100 class, of course, which is another, I think that's another first for him. He's always gone very well.
Expect to see him in a different car next season. Something with a bigger engine and loads more power. It should prove interesting. So here's Jack, 2.3 seconds away from the start for the 64-foot board. Now look at what he does at loggerheads. You'll see there in any moment there, 14.15. That's quicker than Scott Moran did in qualification. 21 seconds to triangle. Up there with Will Hall's time, better than. And Steve will pick him up when he gets to the top of the straight.
Jack Cottrell charging up into fallow. Nice clip of the curb on the inside at fallow, now up into museum. Out of museum safely. Just the run to the finish. And Jack Cottrell, 54.81.
So that sets out first of the 12 runoff times in round 33. It's Matt Ryder next away immediately. Qualified 11th on 55 seconds exactly in the new car of the Riders this weekend.
Time on a par to 64 foot, Jerry. 2.32 against Jack Cottrell's 2.3. He's a bit slower than loggerheads than Jack Cottrell as well. And slower at triangle too by almost half a second. So he's going to pick him up when he gets to the top of Cedar Straight any moment now.
Matt Ryder now charging up into fallow. Takes a good late apex. Gets the power down early. Up into museum already. Now the run to the finish. 54.81 to beat. And it's a 54.19.
He made up some time up towards the top of the hill there.
And the new leader, Matt Ryder, with that 54.19. It's Dave Warburton next up. 10th fastest qualifier in the 1600 Gauge R59 on 54.87. The man virtually assured of 10th place overall in the British Championship.
Yeah, and he's away from the line, the car having a
fairly distinctive launch control engine note. Warburton 15 seconds to log ahead, slower than the previous two runners. What he can do, and he's 22, so slower as a triangle apparently. Doesn't look like I can trust the museum time from the previous runner, Matt Ryder. Time's all over the place there.
Dave Warburton charging up into fallow. A little bit of a twitch on the exit. Holds it all together up into museum. Back on the power. Heading for the finish and through the finish. 54.19 equals Matt Ryder's time.
Ooh, this could be interesting, couldn't it? Could end up with 11 scoring positions, depending on what happens from here on in. So it's Matt Ryder and Dave Warburton from Jack Cottrell. With the next car to run is
the next car to run, Richard Spedding, yes, qualified 9th on 54.64. Needs as many points as he can get to try and get on terms with the outer debut. He's actually dropping 3 points, so he needs a really good score.
So even if he wins, he'll only put 7 on the board, won't he? So 2.78 away from the line to the 64. That's the slowest of the 4 times so far. I'm sure you'll say, yeah, he begins to make it up at triangle. See if he makes it up further at keepers. Yes, yeah, he's under the 31 second mark then. Steve will pick the car up any moment now.
And Richard Spedding into the braking area for Fowler, took off the gas very early. Now up into museum. Over the crest and through the finish, 52.61.
Well, it is the lead, but it's probably not quite what he was hoping for. And next away will be Trevor Willis, this season's number 1. 3 times champion, of course, 2012 and the last two seasons. This car has a very, very distinctive engine note at launch. The full-on launch control. Might not be quite so distinct in these wet conditions, however. Liable to sort of turn it down slightly.
Well, the sun's coming out, which might mean that conditions improve before we get to the end of this run-off, if it remains. But here's Trevor now.
Yeah, the launch control was subdued compared to a dry track. Not the quickest and not the slowest, so slower than the first 3 runners to the 64 board. But yeah, picking up the time now, nearly as quick as Jack Cottrell to log ahead. And almost as quick as Jack Cottrell to triangle.
So chasing Richard Spedding's 52.61.
Trevor Willis appears into fallow. Again, slight twitch on the exit up into museum. Again, a couple of adjustments to the steering as he exits the corner. And Trevor Willis through the finish, 52.70. Slots into second place behind Richard Spedding.
Yeah, story of the season, I'm afraid. One time you have put safe money on Trevor being fastest in the West. But there we are.
Well, it's Graham Wynn next up in the second of the new for this season Gould GR59s with the Judd DB4 4-litre V8. Good qualifying slot for him. 7th place on the 53.97.
These Judds do sound proper, don't they?
Judd. The name of the firm actually was his Engine Development, founded by John Judd and Jack Brabham many, many years ago. Right, Graham Wynne away from the start line, 2.29. He is the fastest over that 64-foot launch. And he's quickest to loggerhead. Coming down the hill towards us. Let's have a look at what we get at Triangle. Oh, and he's quickest to Triangle too. It's sub 21 seconds, 24.99.
Graham Wynne approaching Fallow, popping and banging and crackling as he goes into the corner. Now on the power, up into Museum. Through Museum, little hesitation on the exit. And Graham Wynne over the finish, 52.98. Slots into third.
I'll tell your cardboard computer's doing overtime speed. Typically Kellogg's packet, as I recall. People continuing to come to the fence down there at the top of the paddock.
6 times British champion Scott Moran now coming to the line, qualified 6 on 3.72. A relatively rare outing for him this year, as was his season last year, but he's still going to get a number at the end of the season.
Yeah, he's away, 2.38. It's up there with all the others. As quick as Graham Wynne. Quicker than Trevor Willis and Richard Spedding and Dave Warburton.
What can he do to Triangle? 20.99 for Wynne.
Back end kicks out, controls it, and it was 21 seconds to Triangle, 21.08.
Scott Moran powering his way up Cedar Straight into Fallow. Super smooth as ever, en route to Museum. No problems at all. Lights the blue touch paper and over the finish, 52.87. Only good enough for third place at the moment.
The next along is going to be Will Hall. In a car that proves to be quite a handful for so much of the time. First challenge is to get it off the start line without stalling it.
Had a bit of a mixed season with this car. One or two problems manifested themselves over the year, but he's had some very good results as well. Started the season with Graham Wynne's spare car, in fact, the Gould with the Cosworth HP in it after blowing the AER engine up in testing before the season has started, but it's come back on stream.
It's all gone quiet. Name popped up on the screen and it's disappeared again. Let's hope he didn't break the across the line with the centre line of the rear axle. No, his engine starts again.
Qualified 5th on a 53.62. At the moment it's still Richard Spedding that leads from Trevor Willis and Scott Moran.
And this time he is away from the start line. 2.32 is quicker than all bar Jack Kessell to the 64 board. His loggerhead time 13.74, that's the quickest of all so far, so he's on a charge. And it's 20.81 at Triangle. I'll give it keeper's time then over to Speed.
Well, quickest so far for Triangle.
Yeah, 30.39 at keepers, and that is his quickest too.
Will Hall bursts into view, into Fallow already, slithers out of the corner, up into Museum, gets the power down quite early, popping and banging his way over the finishing line, 52.18 goes into the lead.
Yeah, the fastest so far. All of his splits were better than the previous runners by 64 and loggerhead, so he made it up from there. Can't rely on the speed at loggerhead because sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. Right, Iron Price away from the start line. Well, he is quickest by far away from the start, 2.22. So 10th quicker than Will Hall, 3.54. Finer than that, and then he loves the wet weather. Next rally time, guy, so 14.01 to loggerhead, 20.84 to triangle. Second quickest to triangle. Keeper's time, 30.32, fastest there.
Iron Price arrowing his way up into fallow, slides out of the corner in typical rally style, up into museum, power slides his way through the corner, charging to the finish, and Iron Price, 52.38, drops into second.
Good performance from a 1600cc car. So now we've got Alex Summers. Here the V6 running in the paddock already. Third fastest qualifier on the 52.54. So he's got to go almost half a second quicker if he wants to take the lead from Will Hall. Currently Hall leads on 52.18 from Price and Spedding now. So Spedding's points dropping. He's in third place, which with his drop scores will give him 5 points. And one would expect the following runners, certainly 2 of them, to eclipse the time, but Alex Summers away from the line. Yeah, 2.31 seconds, so not the best. Better than Will Hall, however. A very sprightly little car, lower powered than all of the other Class L cars in this runoff, and 20.45 triangle. That is the quickest so far.
Alex Summers into and out of fallow, already up into museum, going super smooth. Over the crest of the hill and through the finish, 51.01 goes into the lead. And I think that's our fastest time of the day.
You could see that coming, couldn't you? It is indeed, Steve, by 400ths of a second from Wallace Minnie's qualifying time.
Sub 30 seconds to Keeper, 29.59.
I think it's still to come, but before that we've got Zach Zammit who qualified the Empire Race 1600, second fastest with a 51.53. So it's Summers now who leads from Hall, Price and Spedding.
Zach Zammit away from the start line, 2.23, a good quick launch. Quicker than Alex Summers. Give you the triangle split. Good time to log ahead. Here we are down to triangle. 20.38.
New fastest time to triangle for Zach Zammit. Well, can he possibly challenge Alex Summers' 51.01 that leads? Could it be a sub 51 indeed?
And Zach Zammit into fallow already. Slithers through the corner, up into museum. Power slides his way out of the corner and over the finish, 52.4 for Zach Zammit. And that slots him, I think, into 4th.
Yeah, it does, yeah. 4th place, 200 behind Iron Price. They obviously lost out a bit on the power stakes up towards the top of the hill.
So it's Wallace Mingis, the final runner, qualified on a 51.05. That time already been beaten by Alex Summers with a 51.01. That leads the way at the moment.
So just this final runner, champion-elect for the 2019 season, Wallace Mingis. And he's away from the start, 2.24 to the 64. Up there and better than several. Not as quick as Will Hall, sorry, Arnon Price, however. Here he comes now, and the triangle time, 19.69.
So Wallace Mingis on a charge. Can he beat Alex Summers 51.01, the man he tied with for the first run-off win at Doon a fortnight ago?
Wallace Mingis appears up into fallow and just about keeps it on the track, but lost a lot of time on the exit. Up into Museum already. On the power, charging to the finish, and through the finish, 50.17. The winner of our first British Hill Climb Championship runoff.
Oh, there we are. So now we know. And just one more of these later on this afternoon. So the win goes to number 3, Wallace Mingis, 50.17. Second place, and so close to him all season long, number 7, Alex Summers, 51.01. Third place, number 2, Will Hall, 52.18 and 8 points. Fourth place, number 126, Arnon Price, 52.38, best showing of the season and 7 points. Fifth place, 125, Zach Zammit, 52.4. Sixth place, number 5, Richard Spedding, 52.61. Seventh place, number 1, Trevor Willis, 52.7. 4 points. Eighth place, number 10, Scott Moran, 52.87 and the 3 points. Number 9, Graham Wynn, number 154, 52.98 and 2 points. 10th place, number 824, Matt Ryder, 54.19. And joint 10th, Dave Warburton, 54.19. So 1 point apiece for them. And number 106, Jack Cottrell, out of the points, 54.81 and a nil point in Eurovision terms. Just trying to find out the lunch break. .1:15 restart. Marshall's back on post about 10 minutes before, please. But 1:15 restart, so we're not going to take a long one. We're going to take advantage of trying to get everybody up unless the weather changes later. So there we are. Those are your that's your first run off of the day, around 33 of 34. And I think that pretty much does that. His position is now secured, so Alex Summers definitely second place in the championship. It's the Dave Warburton one. He scored a point there, hasn't he? Sharing that 54.19 with Matt Ryder. Gives him that extra point.
In fact, yes, Richard Spedding's 6th place means that he only... 6th place means that he only scored 2 points because he's dropping 3, so he's now up to 188.
Yeah, 5 only scores for 2, doesn't he?
Dave Uren's still 195, and obviously he's got another chance of making the run-off this afternoon to try and stay ahead of Richard Spedding. So, more of the same. After lunch, another set of competition runs and qualifying runs, and the very last British Hill Climb Championship run-off of the year, round 34 at the end of the meeting. We'll see you after lunch, back at 1:15.
And do give Wallace Mineeff a big round of applause when you see him. Here's Iron Price, did so well there, 4th position. Just proving once again that he loves the wet. Will Hall.
And Wallace Menges, last driver down from the runoff, already getting applause from the fervent Scottish supporters here at the top of the hill. There's the Ramsey clan in residence up here at Museum. So Wallace heading down to the paddock. Has actually been closed down by a point by Alex on that runoff, but nevertheless comfortably in the lead and en route to his first British Hill Climb Championship. I don't think Richard Spedding has closed in on Dave Uren, but I don't think it's going to be enough. He's going to have to do really a lot better in the second runoff. He's going to beat Dave Uren third. So we're now going to break for lunch, and I'll be back on air with Eddie and Jerry after the lunch break.